All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Advantage in Paradise. Before we get started, just a few announcements. And I know Shannon's got quite a few announcements as well. But as always, our audio is provided by a combination of soundstripe.com, licensed music, and mostly these days, Sirenscape audio ambiance. So there's a lot of different projects that Paradice is working on right now in collaboration with folks in the community that I think Shannon has a few shout outs for.
I
do. So without a further ado, I will let Shannon take the wheel as I go grab my notes that just printed.
Thank you, DM. I've officially decided that, hey, Steph, I've officially decided that I'm going to be shouting out Talon and Claw every single week because they deserve it. They are our first official stream partner, and they're just amazing people. And if you put the code Paradice, Paradice, in the code place where you check out things, if you put that code in there, you get 10% off of your order. So Talon, Claw, you're amazing. Thank you for being you, and I am going to shout you out all the time. Next people I would like to shout out, Earth's Embers. I'm wearing the Earth's Embers shirt tonight because the first episode of season 2 dropped today, and me and Sean are cast members on that, and it is so awesome. We had a blast playing. We recorded 2 weekends ago. Last weekend, no, it was last weekend, and it was amazing. We had such a blast. We're playing with Female Comics and the Kiev on Twitter, and it was just so much fun. We've got such great chemistry when we're playing. So if you haven't listened to it yet today, definitely go check it out. I tweeted it. It's everywhere. It's on my Instagram, on my Twitter. Just definitely go check it out. It was a lot of fun. Next people I would like to shout out is Hellforge Props. They are such a great supporter on Twitter and on Instagram. Really appreciate all the love and support that they give us. And I haven't shouted them out before this, and I don't know why. So Hellforge Props, thank you, friend. You are amazing. And the last people I would like to shout out have been absolutely incredible on Discord, on Twitter, just everywhere. Discount D&D, you guys are so much fun. We really love interacting with you. You're such uplifters in the community and uplifting everybody there. So we are really thankful for your support and just for your friendship. And I'm done. Uh-oh. Somebody freeze.
Sean froze, but
I'll
go.
Okay.
Last week on Paradise RPG, Advantage in Paradise by Paradice RPG, the show that we do, we dug our way out of some issues. Our old friend Wiswick was trapped in a cosmic plane, an astral shelf, some kind of layers of the deep. And there was a big spire there, which I believe will be important later, so remember that. We were able to rescue him, sort of. Mostly he just came back and we pulled him out and made him. Cal had lost a lot of blood and so was a little loopy. Kieran also was very wounded. We made our way back to the town of Bracklin Glen after rescuing some prisoners that were in the Cave of Wonders. Oh, Sean's just straight up gone now.
He dropped it. There he's back.
There you are,
he's
Sean.
back. Yeah.
Am I back?
You're back.
Clayton just made it back from the astral plane.
So sorry about that. That was really weird. All right. So.
Oh, his backgrounds look awesome.
Yes, that's another thing to shout out is our technical producer, Alex, who is currently grabbing himself a little bite to eat that he very much so deserves. Alex thankfully got us all set up, except for myself, because my green screen's still in the mail. Got us all set up with these lovely backdrops for our individual characters. So very cool there. All right, so without further ado, I know that Tim did a little bit of a recap, a nice brief version, but I've got one prepared that I put too much time into to skip. All right. Also has a nice little intro to each character for anyone who's new, who this is their first episode watching, podcast or live. Once again, we come together surrounding 5 peculiar individuals. We have Caliph, the expatriate scion of House Stormrain, out in the world looking for his own way, hiding from a past shame. We have Wiswick, the exile Zverfneblin, exploring the surface world for new mysteries and whispers of a long-forgotten deity. Then there's Curon, the otherworldly Elysian elf, born of twilight in the Elysian Vale, searching for answers to prophecy and his greater calling. Of course, there's Timber, the stoic monk of mysterious origin, struggling with a curse and a sense of duty splitting his heart across the realm. And finally, our enigmatic rogue, Scarlet. Blessed by fire and earth, the Genasi skulks through the Trinwald Valley in search of freedom, peace, and lost family. These myriad strangers have come together to help the lands of Eastern Tressex along the Cern River. After securing the town of Maginset, the Oxlander general, Aldrich Kinsley, conscripted them to deal with the bandit threat, secure a nefarious relic known as the Pallid Mask, and meet him and the Maginset refugees in the ancient keep of Drift March, roughly 200 miles north of where they currently are. The last we met, they had stopped in the hamlet of Bracklin Glen. There, they rescued villagers stolen away by a band of bullywugs, led by a strange old magi. Wiswick was briefly lost through a portal into the astral sea, where he marveled at a mysterious spire that you'd only ever seen before in ancient murals of Maginset from before what was known as the Morasir conflict. Though he quickly fled, leaving the mystery for another day. Within the bullywug's lair, at the base of their pet hydra's nest, the party found a strange magical orb. Later, as they returned to the village, reunited the lost villagers with their families, and collected their reward, the party discovered a fountain with a socket just right for this orb. Upon depositing it, the vast oak trees of the park around them came to life with vibrant leaf, restored bark, and strengthened roots. Flowing from these rejuvenated branches were strange little fireflies that glittered in the coming night. The fountain's ruined and weathered stone became clean and marble as magical waters sputtered from the head. As Wiswick cast the spell to read the fountain plaque, the rest of the party gathered food and drink to join him in the park as the beautiful scene unrolled. Villagers began to stream into the streets and into the park to enjoy the peaceful lights. Children chased fireflies as families sat amongst the soft grass, and a warm spring breeze swept through the shifting branches above. A new life and hope for the village of Bracklin Glen. We left off there as our heroes began to consider the next journey. Now, where we'll actually start off is the next morning, unless anyone has something specific that they would have liked to have done the night prior or spoken to one another about.
Yes, please.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that after we all had that lovely moment in the courtyard, we all kind of retired to our rooms, right?
Yes, it was it was already pretty late, I'd say. And you were very tired from an exhaustive day. So you didn't have much time to chat or discuss. You simply sort of enjoyed that small moment and then retired for the evening after your meal and drinks.
Okay. So Wiswick and I are sharing a room because Wiswick was the only one brave enough to room with me. So as we're, unpacking and getting...
I think he just drew the short straw.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was.
I just didn't speak up.
Yeah. So you got stuck with me. Wiswick, do you have a moment before we go sleep?
Sure. What's up?
I found this down in the cave, and I'm going to show him the dagger with the opal in it. It doesn't seem like a normal dagger, and I was wondering if you could work some magic on it.
It would be my pleasure. And I pull out my large diamond and begin casting Identify.
Okay, are you just going to cast it with spell slot since you're going to bed anyway?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. All right. So you immediately, as you lay down the opal, right, or pearl,
Oh,
pearl into the feather of the ritual, you begin to cast it. Wiswick's eyes grow a bright color as Wiswick, you see for a moment somewhat the history of the dagger, as you can see an individual in a forest being attacked by bullywugs and overwhelmed as they threw this dagger across the waters, and it zipped through the air at very fast speed and slammed right into the chest of a bullywug, and then just a few seconds later it vanished and reappeared in the individual's hand, as this is a dagger of return.
hell yes.
So you could, whenever you throw this dagger, you have to be attuned to it, but whenever you throw this dagger, at the start of your next turn, it'll return into your sheath or hand at the start of your turn.
Very cool.
I feel like that belongs to your saying.
Yeah, I relay this information. I say, yeah, this looks like it will be of great use. You'll be able to throw your daggers at people. Sounds like lots of fun.
I mean, I always throw my daggers at people, but what makes this one special?
It returns back to you. I told you.
Oh.
Yeah,
that is
like
special.
yeah, it sounds pretty fun, honestly. Like I wouldn't mind attuning with it just for some practice.
Well, let me have a go with it first.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's your dagger. You're much better with these things than I am.
I'll take it back. Thank you.
You got it.
I was also hoping, if it's not too much to ask, if you might be willing to set up your alarm thing by the window, at the windowsill.
I don't see why not.
Timber's gonna knock once more.
On our door? Oh.
Yes.
Are you still a wolf right now?
No, I'm
Are you
gonna
hybrid?
become
No, you're-
hybrid right now. I was wolf for, yeah.
Okay. As I'm going over to open the door, I'm saying over my shoulder to Wiswick, I had an unexpected visitor last night and I don't want to repeat. And then I'll open the door.
And I said, whoa.
Oh, are you coming in here now?
Under the bed?
No. Visvik, I need your assistance. Or I have something that you might want. First
Get
off,
in line, baby.
no, I don't want you. I reach and I pull out the tiara. But with my mage hand.
Oh, that's pretty.
I don't like the way it looks.
Where did you find it?
On that mage. Next to the Hydra.
Oh.
I did this too. I looked the glove. I forgot to take it off. But
You found all sorts of things.
just the two actually.
Sorts.
If you could identify these. Oh, I see you have your pull out already.
Well, yeah,
Could you-
I'm in the middle of a ritual right now. Maybe in just a few minutes. Just leave
Okay.
them on the floor over there.
Wiswick's starting a queue.
This tiara doesn't look like something I want to give you unchecked. So I'm going to stay right here.
Well, then, can you come in so I can close the door?
Yeah, I don't want people looking at me anyway. And I'll come inside and I slouch down next to the door onto the floor.
Right. So over the course of the time, Wiswick, you want to identify all of the items?
I think that before I start off with that tiara, just because it was on the head of a crazy man, probably just want to take an Arcana check and see if I can tell just from having experience with cursed items before whether it's something that's safe to touch.
Mm-hmm. Okay, give me an Arcana check.
Ooh. Not bad. How about a 28?
28. Okay, that's definitely going to help you out. So as you observe the diadem, as it's held up by Timber's shadowy mage hand, your experience not only with actually being bestowed a curse by the ring on your finger, but the abnormal shadows that cover the otherwise pearl diadem, they do look nefarious to you, and definitely you can't tell 100% if it's cursed, but you would definitely bet on it that this is cursed.
I know it's not usually my bag to turn down magic items, Timber, but I'm gonna have to pass on this one. I kind of learned my lesson about these things that are too cursed to touch.
You can still cast Identify on it, but you just know that it's cursed. It's the kind of thing that you would understand that based on what you know of the mage, this is likely an item that when you cast Identify, it'll tell you what it is, but it won't tell you what the curse is, and that the curse is meant to be applied upon a attunement to the item.
Okay. Yeah, because I do have to touch the item. Cast it.
You don't know. You guys don't know what happens when you touch it. You haven't touched it yet.
Right.
So, do you want to touch it first, or?
No, I
I
don't.
mean, I'm already cursed.
I trust your inclination. I don't. How about this one? I show him the glove.
Can I, may not work, but why don't I try giving Jet a shot at picking up the...
You can definitely give that a try. You'd have to resummon. You resummoned Jet last time. No, Jet's dead right now. You have to resummon.
Yeah,
him.
I think you killed him again.
Yeah, he got sucked in.
Maybe I killed him.
Colossus when you tried to revive him last.
Yeah, I wanted to see if it would be safe in there. It definitely wasn't. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna recast that, and
Okay.
then we'll test with Jet to see if that does anything.
Okay.
While
Make
he's
sure you
doing
mark off the components for that.
While he's doing that, while we're getting ready to go to bed, I'm gonna turn to Kieran in our room and go, remember when people just went to bed?
You know, in Elysia, actually, we have a very specific ritual that we perform before retiring for the night to give thanks to Livania and all that she's done for us.
Right.
He says with a big grin on his face, staring back at Cal.
Well, good night then.
Good night, friend.
Cal's the only one just going to sleep.
Cal's had a long 2 days.
He has. That's for sure.
I mean, Wiswake's running ragged right now.
To be fair, the 2 days are the long as for Cal as everyone else. 48 hours. Unless time works differently.
Anyway,
Emotionally.
Wiswick, you have summoned Jet. Sort of the incense burns away and the smoke reforms into the fiendish bat we're all familiar with. As Jet starts to squeak around you and immediately lands hanging upside down on your arm. Happy to see you.
Welcome back, buddy. We got a new mission for you, little guy. Why don't you go and pick up that thingy over there?
You see, for just a brief moment, Jet kind of just looks at you with the bat face, turning it like another one. And he flutters off of you and softly lands on the diadem on the ground. And you see he picks it up once with his feet and flies up and drops it. And then he kind of nudges it with his head and then just sort of looks at you and squeaks back.
Mission accomplished.
And I just make him disappear.
Okay, so it's safe to touch, and I pick it up.
Nothing happens to you. It is very cold to the touch, and it definitely feels heavier than it should, but nothing happens to you.
I wouldn't put it on.
I'm not going to. Can you see me with a tiara?
I wasn't talking to you.
Oh. I can't see him
Well,
with
let's
the
see what it
tiara
does
either.
first.
I put it back. No.
So are you going to cast Identify on it?
Am I? I want to get. I mean, I got my hands out, waiting to like.
Oh,
Take whatever.
okay. Then I bring it back out and put it in his hand.
Yes.
Okay. So you perform the ritual again. As you sit there and you all watch as Wisbick starts to perform the ritual, his eyes flutter back again, and he gets a vision of this diadem, this headband in its original state, made of a bright, shimmering pearl, intricate woven filigree, befitting the highest of noble elven princes, as he sees it being worn by a very tall, similar to Valen, wood elf, except no antlers. They're very thin, and their face is very sallow, and they have their head is completely shaved except for a tuft of hair in the front. It's held tight with a band. It sticks out a bright navy blue color. The skin a darker bronze. Eyes bright green, as this wood elf is just sitting amongst a open air meeting space with several branches and trees all around. And they're just that's all you see of its origin. And what you understand of it by this, as you tap into the strings of reality to understand, is this is a headband of intellect that is ancient and cursed from your Arcana check earlier.
Interesting. I don't know what a headband of intellect does, but
Headband of intellect increases your intelligence to 19 automatically upon attuning to it. It cannot increase your intelligence by more than 19. If your intelligence is above 19, it does not do anything.
Yeah, I realize that,
It seems that this is an artifact of the Wood Elves. Some sort of intellect boosting magic.
So it makes you
But,
smarter?
Yeah, essentially.
Taps into your
Almost
potential.
as smart as me.
That's what intellect means.
We should see if Kieran can get rid of the curse on it, and then we can use it. Put it...
Well, get rid of this one first.
This one seems better. You want to hold on to it? Or do you want me... Here you go.
No, I think you should hold it, Timber.
He could put it on. It's not going to summon a demon.
I'm not really interested in it either way. I'm already smart enough.
Okay.
It's the only thing Timber will not. The only line he won't cross. Not gonna summon a demon. It's fine.
Okay, fine. How about this one? I show him, or put my hand out.
So
That's
what
a
you
nice hand you got there.
what you see
with
is
the glove.
the glove that he had gotten off of the mage in the tunnel or in the cave. It's a dark blue glove that has this lighter blue stitching on it that is in a mural of a storm moving across the fingers with streaks of arcs of lightning up each of the fingers. When you cast Identify on it, there's no vision with this one. Although I will occasionally give you visions because Identify does say it gives you the nature of its creation. This one seems to, from your understanding, is a home-brewed contraption by potentially that mage that was using it. And what this is a glove of the Storm Lord.
Ooh.
And it has It has 1 charge of Scorching Ray in it. Or not Scorching Ray, sorry. Of essentially Scorching Ray, but it deals lightning damage. It has, essentially, you can have 5 individual arcs of a Scorching Ray-esque lightning strike. Or you can consume them all and cast Chain Lightning with it. Every time you cast Chain Lightning with it, though, you roll a d20. And if you get a natural 1, the gauntlet turns to ash on your hand.
And that's only when you do the chain lightning?
Yes, only when you cast the Chain Lightning. Otherwise, you could do a 5-beamed Scorching Ray that deals lightning damage. But you consume it all to deal Chain Lightning, and then you roll a d20. If it's a natural 1, the glove will turn to ash.
Okay.
I tell you everything.
Thank you, Wizik. I think I know how to use this. I'll keep it.
I mean, sure. Okay.
It does require attunement.
I will sleep with it. Okay. Thank you, Wizik. Also, what did you see on the other side of that portal?
It was a land of cupcakes and wonders.
Okay, that's it. And I walk out of the room.
And then I go up to Scarlet and I say,
It really wasn't cupcakes. I just wanted to get him out of here. I'm exhausted.
I appreciate your efforts. Are you all right?
Yeah.
Besides being tired. Practically dragged you out of there.
Well, honestly, I don't know what to make of what I found down there. Guess it's better to discuss it in the morning when everybody's around.
Tend to agree. Sharper minds are sharper. I'm tired too. Let's go.
As our adventurers feel the tug of night as their aching bones need respite, you all find sleep easily enough, quickly, in your rooms within the Guavarine Tooth Inn. Night comes, and you very quickly, the next morning, night goes without any issue. No visits in the night, no triggering of alarms, no dreams other than your own, as you all awake bright and early the next day, because this is the earliest you've gone to bed in a while. I'd say for you, Kieran, you're waking up very early and have plenty of time to pray and meditate before your allies awake. I'd say around 7 a.m. What would you like to do? The day is yours.
Well,
I wake up and
good morning. I have a few, I wanted to speak to someone, today, from the shop that I visited, the other day. I had some unfinished business with her and, plan on walking around town a little just to see how's everybody doing. Do you want to come with me?
Sure, can you give me an hour though? I would like to get to know this dagger.
All right. I can cast some spells in the meantime.
Perfect. Is the dagger in D&D Beyond, Sean? You're
Probably.
muted.
He's talking.
It is not in D&D Beyond yet.
Okay.
I will put it in your inventory for you once I create the custom item for it.
Thank you. I am taking the time to attune to it. Right
Excellent. All right, so just keep track until I put it in there that you have an item attuned.
Now. Perfect.
And you as you're sort of sitting in your room alone, you start to kind of get used to it. You kind of throw it, and a few times it doesn't really do anything, and you're just kind of like, fuck, You lied to me. And then finally, you just sort of don't give a shit. You're just like, and you throw it across, and it hits right into the wooden wall. And you're just sort of like, you step over to the window to look out, frustrated, and then suddenly it just appears in your hand. You quickly grab it before it falls and stabs you in the leg. And you test it a few more times to get used to the reappearance of it. Kind of making sure you know instinctually how to grab it without hurting yourself.
Oh, I like this very much.
I'm going to be casting Sending.
Ooh, okay. Who are you casting Sending to?
Well, I think Wiswick's first cast would probably be back home. Since he just learned the spell, he wants to use it personally, and then see if he can use it again to help the party. But currently, he's just feeling a little homesick, and he has his chance, so he's gonna try and get in touch with his Uncle Owick.
Okay, let me just pull up my notes before you talk to Uncle Owick.
I mean, honestly,
okay.
It's not very much information that I could relay, but I want to say something along the lines of,
Hi, Uncle, Master.
oh, gee.
You want a workshop? You want to take a second?
I found no.
No, I got it.
I found. I found remnants of your work in Bracken Ridge.
Is that where we're at?
Brackling
Glen.
Bracken Glen. Have you found the evil spire yet?
That's
really cool.
Oh, no, you have 5 more. Sorry, you have 5 more. Really cool.
Really cool. Hit me up.
Okay, so I love Sending so much. I'm so glad you have it. So as you send this message off into the ether, you kind of sit quietly and await the response as you slowly hear and the familiar voice entering into your mind. Wisrick. Is that really you? It's been so long. Yes, the spire. Bracklin Glen. You can tell he's somewhat struggling to remember a little bit exactly where. Yes, I was there many years ago. Not many know about the spire, except for the witches and wizards of that land. Be careful. That spire is dangerous temptation for those like us. It is good to hear from you. I hope your journey is going well. Call anytime.
Great. You guys was Frank Oz just here? That sounded scary, Sean.
That's my brother's voice.
Yeah, sorry.
He's just Yoda.
Yeah, that's
Don't sue us, Disney.
Is that Grimgrog? Brimwick? Which one has the
I'd say probably Grimgog.
Yeah, Grimgrog definitely's got a Yoda voice.
All right, moving on.
But yes, you're uncle responds to you. You can somewhat tell from his voice that he sounds. He's always been a loner, of course, and kind of isolates himself for his research and somewhat looked down upon by the rest of the community, as you know. But he sounded. You've never quite heard him sound as old as he really is until now.
Yeah, I kind of just sigh and like listen fondly to the message, and it gives me like a pep in my step in the morning to hear back from him. And I think I go downstairs and try and look for the barkeep to see if she has some time to talk to me.
It's not hard to find her. She is setting up for the day. She's actually not. Actually, no. It's actually pretty early, so she's actually just sitting by the hearth as Toira is kind of stoking the fire and getting it ready for the morning. As Paravel is just sort of sitting in a rocking chair that wasn't there before, that she seems to have dragged out here as part of her morning ritual. As you see, floating beside her is just a little cup of tea in what looks like an antique teacup, and a rasher of bacon, as she is simply reading a book and rocking back and forth. It's a very cozy scene here at 7 a.m. in the Garvarian's Tooth.
I think I sit down on the floor in front of her, like cross-legged, like a little kid, ready to hear a story. And I say,
Good morning. I just talked to my uncle, using some magic. He wanted to say hi. He sends his love from the Underdark.
She closes the book and kind of sets it on her lap with a big smile towards you. She says, "Oh, old Owick, eh? Oh, well, it's good to know he's alive. And I hope he remembers me, and I certainly remember him. Please, next time you speak with him, give him my best, and I hope to see him again one of these days. Hope he gets to go on another one of his adventures in his age."
Can you tell me a little bit about him?
Oh, of course. What would you like to know?
Well, it seems like you two went on some adventures together. Maybe you could enlighten me to what you found?
Give me a persuasion check with advantage.
okay, thank goodness. How about an 8?
An 8, okay.
With advantage?
So she smiles at you and kind of looks into the fire wistfully, remembering her youth. Because under the kind of stark light of the fire, you can see what you didn't notice before in the raucousness of the tavern and how quickly she moved about. There's some gray in her fur and some wrinkles beneath the light fur of the fair bulk. She thinks to her youth. Well, there's a lot of stories there, for sure, Master Wiswick. Maybe I got a few for you. Let's see, what can I remember? Well, your uncle, he came to Brackland Glen so long ago. It was before I really set my roots in, and I was a bit of a raucous youth looking for adventure myself. We didn't, and I really, well, I guess it's okay to talk about it, but we used to go what folk sometimes call spelunking. As I think adventurers of your note would have recognized, Dressix is a bit packed with caves and underground networks of old times. And if you're lucky, you find the right one, and you'll find remnants of the old world. Whether it's old automatons or defunct magical items, or if you're real lucky, you'll find some of the remnants of the old Imaginset Spire. Now, not a lot of the Tressians, they don't really like to think about the old days. They prefer today, as one might say. So not a lot of folk really care too much about what Magic Set used to be. He had a keen mind, real interested in that kind of stuff, artifacts and all that. I was really just looking for adventure and to get out of this small town. A few times we went down below, but usually we'd fight off a few spiders and maybe a creature or two, and he'd spend hours as I just sort of watched him work, studying these relics and artifacts. I'd say we went as far north as the Vergrin Well, along the northern byway. He was the first person I knew who had dared to go into those woods. We didn't find much that to our liking. It was a good journey. You see her kind of brush her braided hair aside, and you see this sort of like floppy ear comes out, and you can see there's like it's half kind of cut off, and she's like, I lost most of my ear on that journey. A few other scars, but yeah, traveled all over with Owick when he came. We always came back here and stayed in my tavern. Not many visitors came to the Guarverine Tooth back then, but I had old Brian and Shane and Toira to run the place while I went on adventures. Oh, I didn't make as much money back then. I don't think they're the best at running the place. I heard a lot of folks were put off by Toira.
You think they would have gotten better at it by now?
Yeah, well, I guess maybe if I didn't owe so much to these little guys, I might have fired them by now. But that's another story for a different day. Owick was a special one. First fair Neblin I ever met. Happy to have met another.
Yeah, he doesn't even correct her. He just has the big beady eyeballs, like staring at her, like, intently through the whole thing. And he says,
thanks so much for telling your memories. I really appreciate it. There's not many people who can talk. I could talk to about my uncle's brilliance.
Well, he was brilliant, that's for sure. He used to talk about some of his adventures before we met, and he'd spent some time in I forget what he called it. Somewhere in the Gwyn Empire, but after he left Bracklin Glen, his next place was he wanted to go to the colleges in Caradolin, get access to the libraries of the capital. Thought he could find something there. Never really knew what he was looking for, but I was happy to have journeyed with him.
Well then, it looks like my adventures have panned out for me. I happen to have a contact or two up there. Maybe I'll go check it out and see if I can find what he couldn't.
Well, I hope so. It'd be nice for the old kook to get a little closer to his discovery.
Yeah, I hope for that too. For him and my people.
Well, you're a good kid, Wiswick. I better start getting ready for the day. Here, you can finish off my bacon. Would you like a cup of tea?
I say,
Well, unfortunately, I'm a little short for time too. I want to make the most of the morning. But I'll take you up on the bacon, though.
and I grab the piece and wave goodbye as I scurry out the door.
Can I come down? I'm going with you. You guys want to go with you?
Yeah, it took about an hour.
yeah. I'd say it's definitely plenty of time for you to have rejoined him, Scarlet. Before we do that, I'm gonna check in with the rest of you. Cal, Curon, and Timber, what are you up to?
Timber, same time as Scarlet, is attuning to his glove.
Okay, So you put the glove on and you can kind of feel this static charge bristling through your arm. Your arm gets numb for a moment and you're worried that you did it wrong and you're
I'm too embarrassed.
something's going wrong. But you notice when you put it on, the glove itself manifests around your hybrid form and expands to fit your claws. You actually see it open, the fingertips, they open up on their own magically to allow your claws to come through. And you just every now and then kind of flex them, and you can kind of see like these bolts, these arcs of lightning kind of curving all over the fingers. And as you like close your fist at one point, you feel this massive charge in your hand, but you let it go, just frightened of what it might do as you feel the chain lightning moving within. But by the end of the hour, it sort of feels like an extension of your arm as it naturally just sort of, the fur on your arm starts to bristle up statically as you just feel the power coursing through your arm, and you feel a certain comfort. You let out some controlled bursts from it to just sort of like arc over to things. As Cal, you awake just to the weird noises of static and arcs of lightning coming off of Timber as he's holding this blue glove on his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm not used to this.
All right. Cal kind of rolls over in bed.
Yeah, it's very much Pikachu. Glove of Pikachu.
Well, yeah.
The one true Stormlord.
All right, well, Cal would probably get up. Kieran, are you still in the room? Where'd you go?
Yep,
You woke
Kieran's
up like
just been
4
hanging
hours
out.
ago, so I just...
Yeah, just hanging out, just looking at us sleep.
Yeah, he spends a lot of time reflecting and praying.
Kieran, what are you praying about? Or on?
Just general life guidance and the such. I always just like to check in with the big
Big eye?
ill, big Vanya.
Jesus Christ. Sean, is there a mirror in this room?
Yes. When you kind of observe around, you find there's this little dresser that has a very old, grimy mirror vanity on the back, but it's enough for you to definitely use as a mirror.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna take my shirt off for the first time since I got particularly badly wounded, which is gross at this point.
Yeah.
And I'd like to spend some time reflecting on the pretty probably significant scar tissue that is now adorning my torso.
Yeah. So you take off the shirt, which has its own torn edges, and it's barely a shirt really anymore. As you start to look in the mirror best you can, and you kind of peeking, and every now and then you just lift your arm and touch one of the scars, and every time you get close to touching it, you kind of shudder, remembering the pain and the horrible sounds of the slithering hydra and the serrated teeth ripping your flesh. As you see some of them, there's some that are perfect punctures, single round, as if you were almost stabbed by a dagger. Others are torn shreds, where this teeth dug through your flesh, and they all just sort of make a perfect parallel lines across your chest. As you also see a few more smaller bites where the other heads had nipped you, and it's just your first true battle scarring. You've been hit before, but the healing always took it away entirely. This is the first remnants of conflict upon your body.
That was quite a serious wound you got there. Still cannot believe...
it's fine. Yeah, no, I mean, yes, it was. You're not wrong, but we're fine. I grab a new shirt and put my gear on.
Easy enough to do. As Cal kind of ignores your concern, Timber, what would you guys like to do?
Well, I guess we should figure out what we're doing
Sean,
today.
back away. Right.
Well, we should
Right.
probably speak more with Valen.
He did say, didn't he say that they'd be ready by today?
Correct, yes. He had gone on some personal mission yesterday.
Oh, then there's the wounded man.
Fallen
Asimer.
Yeah, it's a wounded man. So, I think we should try and head out today. I'm
Agreed.
checking the watch I don't have. Just looking at my wrist whenever we need to leave. And we. All right, so you want to go check on him? I'll go settle our bill downstairs, and I'll pick us up some more rations, get the horses ready.
Sounds good. I just need to stop by that curiosity shop was so enthralled with. Kieran motions to his pack, where you see the helmet of the animated armor we had fought back in the bandit barracks, poking out. He's like, I'm not sure if I'll find another buyer in this area, so given the collect curiosity, this a good time to sell it.
So you did this thing where you like breathed through most of the words you said, but I think you said that you were going to go sell it. So yeah, that makes sense. That's store is very yeah, you'll be fine.
I'll go with you, Kieran. I won't be much help, but I want to go along with you.
I'm sure. Yeah, sounds good. Well,
All
let's go
right.
check on Valen.
All right, so while before you go check on Valen, I'm going to check in with Wiswick and Scarlet, who are heading towards where?
The same shop they were talking about.
Okay.
Before we step out, or as we step out of the tavern, I want to get down to your level, and I want to say, if you run away, I'm going to make you hold my hand for the rest of the day.
That sounds like fun.
It won't be.
I kind of just look at her and I say,
All right, I wasn't planning on it.
You never plan on it.
I guess
That's
that's true.
yeah, so I point in the direction and we start heading over to the curiosity shop.
Okay. So as you step through, you kind of get a glimpse at the park again during the day now, as you see the trees are tall, very tall now, and you can see the branches. They just occasionally just are just moving slowly as you hear that same sound, that rickety wood sound, as they're moving about, almost as if within the breeze, but there's not really any breeze going on. It's just sort of moving of its own volition, as you can see every now and then this puff of scintillating fireflies are still coming off of the tree, as most of the townsfolk are just, they're still hanging out in this park. They're just so excited about it, so intrigued by it. You hear a few cheers as people are probably doing some games in the park. You pass through the square and head towards the awkward looking shack of Saoirse's shop that sort of looks kind of crooked at all angles, and it looks almost as if it's not really following the laws of physics. A Wattle and Daub shop with those blue shingles, and out front it has the name of the shop, the First Hand Curiosities. You step inside.
Yeah. Before we step inside, I tell Scarlet.
Saoirse's the owner. She's a little eccentric, but don't worry. She's nice enough. Just
Right.
warning you, there's some weird stuff in there. Cal seemed to take it pretty heavily. You'll probably be fine though.
I've seen some weird shit, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, step inside.
So you step inside, and immediately you are overwhelmed with that waft of incense that hits you in the face. As you approach It's that same sort of shelves on the left and right, covered in components, reagents, books, other old dusty things. And then the front section that has the little desk that has the different gems and scrolls in it. With behind it has different sockets that have different larger scrolls and paper in it. You see a shelf of inks on one side. And then you also see above, kind of the terrace above, that has the long purple curtains kind of making up the walls itself. As you see, Saoirse steps out from one of these rooms up top with a book in her hands. She's got the bone scarf over her. No jacket this time, just an off-color tunic with large, fluffy arms with a high-waisted leather pants held together with a belt that has a small like doe skull at the clasp. And these tall leather boots. As she looks down with her held back tight gray hair, the small half-elven ears, she looks down and she just says,
"Oh, Wiswick, you've returned."
Hello, Saoirse. Where's my best buddy?
And that's that. At that mention, Saoirse looks to her left, to your right, as you see the pseudo dragon leaps off of the bookshelf and onto your shoulders and just sort of curls around the back of your neck like a cat does when you're sitting, and starts to purr. And you see little tiny flames flickering out of its mouth, occasionally catching a piece of your beard hair.
I give the pseudo dragon my piece of bacon.
It immediately snatches it up and flies up into a chandelier above that has those like horrible like hanging wax remnants of candles. As he just starts to gnaw on it up there, kind of ripping it in half with his hands and just sort of... And she slowly descends a spiral staircase out of view and comes out of the curtains, book no longer in her hands, the rattling of the bone scarf jingling through the air. She looks and just brings her hands together and she says,
You've brought your astral friend. Touched by fire, I see. What is it I can do for you two today?
I'm just returning, as promised, to let you know how my adventures went.
Yes.
Yeah, we adventured deep into a cave that was near the where the bullywug attacks were taking place, and I ended up finding a rune of magical power that was quite scary, honestly. Have you ever heard of this? I mean, I might have mentioned this before, but I think it might have to do with the Spire of Magin set.
Yes. You mentioned this last time you were here, about this spire. I have heard of the Spire of Magin set. Not many Tressians like to talk about it, but I've done some exploring of caves around the area.
You say there's and you see she immediately picks up a book and a pen and ink. She said,
You say in the caves down by the stream, there's one of these artifacts of the spire.
Why, yes. There is quite a trip on the way there. It's a little perilous that we had to fight our way through, and there were a few traps of their own. I'd be more than happy to provide you with more detailed information of my excursion. Modest discount of your wares.
A discount, you say?
give me a persuasion check.
I'm terrible at this. Hey, I rolled good for once. How about a 17?
Okay. Scarlet, you notice every now and then as Wiswick is talking to her, she just sort of looks over to you and in that sort of roundabout way, and then returns to Wiswick.
Certainly, I think we can arrange something. Prolonged venture partnership, perhaps. If you bring odds and ends, information about mysterious relics and places. Perhaps with every new piece of information, I can provide a discount on some of my curiosities. What else did you find? Did you bring me back anything?
I kind of look at Scarlet and I say,
You still got those Hydra pieces? You got some teeth or something, right?
I do. I'll take them out and just hold them out. Just kind of like, I noticed that she was looking at me like that, so I'm just kind of like skeptical as I hand it to her.
She reaches out her arms to take them, and it's very like she's very spindly, and like this tunic hangs heavy on her, almost like she used to fill it, and now it's just sort of hanging and sagging as her long arm with very long fingers come. You see one half grasps your forearm as the other slowly takes them out. And you feel her hand kind of slither across your forearm as it comes off. It's very creepy.
Yeah, it's very creepy.
As she sort of takes them in her hands and shakes them and casts them onto the top of the jeweler's set, like they're a set of dice. And you see her, she comes over to the table and kind of wraps herself around where they landed. She says, monstrosity bones are useful for divination. With the right runes. 5 gold each.
I just give Scarlet a thumbs up. I say,
I mean, it's your choice. They're your pieces.
They're actually cows, but it sounds like a fair price to me.
Excellent. What
By
else
the
have you
way,
brought?
yes, there was a person there that was working with this beast, perhaps taking care of it, feeding it. I wonder if you know of any wayward wizard of the like, maybe ones that have gone mad from years of isolation, or an experiment gone wrong, perhaps.
The most...
I'm going to use prestidigitation to relay what I remember of that
An image. Okay. So you create that face of the barely toothed, scraggly beard, blind mage. And she kind of looks to it, and kind of that visage you create, she just sort of like,
Oh. Yes, I know this face. Ilgoth. An old mage from Magicset. Afraid he went a bit mad. Too many volatile and poisonous components in his experiments. Interesting, I believed he had left Tressex or was dead. Perhaps lost. But he was so close to home. Anything else that you had found?
Well, I mean, we could tell you more, but how about we discuss business? I mean, I can't give you all my secrets just out of the bag.
Wise words. Tell me, what are you looking for?
and it's at that I'm going to cut back to our friends inside going to talk to Valen. Nice little mash cut. As we get back inside, and the two of you are heading to Valen's room. Do you knock on the door?
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
You hear from inside, Valen, just simple enough. Come in. It's unlocked.
Open the door.
You see Valen there. He is in his plain clothes again. That old, weathered, wrinkled face looking up at you with the antlers sticking up. As he looks, as he's looking down at the Asimir Jorhen, who is laying under a blanket, and you see him with a cold. You see him squeeze some water out of a rag and place it on the forehead of the Aesimer. And he looks up and he just says, "It is good to see you after last night's revelry. What can I help you with?"
Of course, it was a nice time to relax, reflect. But now we must think of the future. Can we not?
Of course, the future. The Aesimer, I've discovered his name is Johan. My remedies have done much work. It may take him another day to recall his memories, but he is mostly recovered. We will need to go slow at first. But I can have him ready to leave today, if that is your wish. I promised that we would be able to.
We think it's best we head out as soon as possible.
Well,
Keep things lively.
you hear like kind of the some ragged coughing coming from the Aesimer as his eyes open lightly, but he doesn't say much. And as Valen kind of pushes back his hair a little and presses the rag down more. Certainly, Valen says, "Certainly. If you give me some time, I can get him ready to go. When would you like to leave?"
Is Timber
Yeah, I'm
here in hybrid form?
If we never left the inn, which we did not,
Right.
I'm
we
still in
would've just
hybrid
walked
form.
up.
Yep.
Okay. So Kieran would like kind of turn back to him. Well,
The sooner the better.
There are some mild hallucinogenic effects of the remedy I have provided him with. He will not be well enough to stand on his own, but he will certainly be able to stay on a horse if we strap him on. I can be ready to leave if the horses are brought out within an hour.
When do these hallucinogenics wear off?
You see, there are manifestations of his memories. Since he has lost much, I am trying to bring them back from the darkness. I don't know how studied each of you are in the darkness or magics around it. Memories can be lost in Musail, the plane of shadow. This remedy is helping to bring them back. It may take a day for him to be able to speak again. It would be hard for him. There were a lot of bad memories that were hidden away. He will not be too happy to see his cursed state when he returns. But if I keep him close to me, I can tend after him. We will need to go slow the first day, but hopefully upon the second he will be strong enough to travel quicker.
Sean, take a couple steps back from your mic.
Sorry.
You're good.
that sounds fine. I believe Cal is just now tending to the horses. I have some quick business to take care of. Curiosity shop. And then we should be good to head out.
I will have him ready to go.
If you require any more help, just let us know.
Certainly. I will bring him downstairs in an hour and wait for you.
Kieran exits the room.
Timber follows the Kiron.
Follows the Kiron. Okay.
When leaving, Timber turns to wolf.
Easy enough to do. Checking back in at the shop. Wiswick, do you have any specific requests for her?
I think that I'd probably just look around for wares. I just really am more interested in purchasing back maybe some of the scrolls that I had previously sold to her, or if she has any other scrolls that might be of knowledge to me. I could spend this time waiting for Stefan or Kieran, just perusing the store. It's kind of like the thing where I'm holding myself back because I don't want to look too interested in one thing. So I'm like using my like knowledge to just stay there and look at as much knowledge as I can before like she gets frustrated and like tells me to hurry up.
Absolutely, yeah. So the two of you kind of wait there. You start to look around at her wares. You see several components. You do see there are many scrolls behind her. The gems all in the case. And sorry, that's your other character's name, Scarlet. You are kind of standing there awkwardly, as every now and then you catch Saoirse just sort of watching you curiously. And you turn your head and you see in a glass jar a big bullywug head.
Oh, nice. Wait, is it actually doing things?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's a detached living head of a bullywug.
That's disturbing. I'm going to take a step away and is she like looking at me in a way that it would be like I would ask something about it, like I would ask her about it, like there's something you, or is it just
you?
like,
do you want to ask her? She's looking at you in a way that's like uncomfortable for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I want to ask her. I'm sorry. You seem to be staring a lot. Is there something I can help you with?
She steps out of the kind of around and towards you from the case of gems and just gets closer to you. You can see now she's quite tall, taller than you, and her long, elongated form is off-putting. And she just sort of takes a hand and doesn't quite touch the side of your head, kind of brings it close, and she just kind of staring across at your red hair and your gray skin. She just says, I'm always interested in the astrally touched daughter of fire. She pulls her hand away. She pulls back. Says, so sorry to be so rude. I don't see many like you. You're very special.
Thank you. Wiswick, I'm gonna wait outside.
Okay.
As you step outside, you see Kieran heading towards the curiosity shop.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning, Scarlet. How are you today?
Rested, for once. And yourself?
Much the same. Me and Timber come with Kieran. So motioning to Timber in wolf form. Me and Timber checked in on Valen, who says that he should be ready to go within the hour, or at an hour's mark. Cal is readying the horses, so I'm gonna quickly sell this. He says, holding up the helm, and then I think we should get together and be ready to depart.
I like that plan. I'm going to wait out here. I don't like the way that she was looking at me.
Yes, it is quite a interesting shop with an interesting owner.
Yes.
Kieran says as he walks in.
Kieran, as you walk in and leave Scarlet behind, you notice Wiswick kind of puttering around, looking at the different oddities, every now and then looking back at the woman, Saoirse, who you recognize, who's just sort of standing tall, looking at Wiswick, just sort of expectantly, not rushing him in any way, just sort of occasionally rubbing her hands together and just smiling at him as he looks to her. And then she looks up to you and just, the Twilight Elf. Pleasure to see you.
Madam, I believe I have something you might have interest in.
Huron says, walking up to the front desk and places the helm down on it.
You see her eyes widen as she looks at it and just,
Where on Ardun did you get such treasure?
Up. Don't answer that.
I'm sorry.
Lawyer Wiswick.
Is there something I'm missing here?
She's very interested in a lot of our stuff, but you gotta make her work for it. You know, we've got a lot of stuff here that I want. Like, check out these scrolls. Do you see all these?
Yes, they look quite nice.
you see she's already like touching and examining the helmet as it's sitting on her desk. You see her tracing the runes on the head with her finger as you see some light underneath her fingertips and her eyes as you see her summoning forth a feather and a pearl, and she's casting her own identify on this.
A metal, most rare. A magic from antiquity. You are interested in selling or trading?
I thought selling at first, but it does look like you have quite the collection here. Kieran says, looking about. Anything that you think would be fitting of a elven cleric in your wares?
I have much here. What are you looking for? Anything more specific?
I don't know. Wiswick, is there something quite in particular you're looking for?
Well, as for magic items, I believe I already got one of her best in stock.
And I like show off my necklace again.
But she does have some high-level scrolls that might be useful to either of us as casters of the light. Perhaps we could find some arcane components here as well.
Huron feels Timber nudging against his leg and goes,
Timber, something you're looking for?
Sean,
Yes.
I'm just gonna make the assumption here. Timber knows what a bag of holding is, right?
Yes. Yes, you would.
Can I look for a bag of holding?
Yeah.
In the
Do a
shop.
perception check.
Do I have? Yes, I do. Okay, that's a 18.
18. Okay.
Not bad.
That's pretty good. So in kind of you start to explore, I guess before you nudge him, you start to look around, and you see, amongst the shelves, there's several magical trinkets that are just sort of laying about, sort of cascaded across the room. You find different components. You find strange. You find this jar filled with bat guano. You find just the things that you don't think about that Wiswick is constantly fuddling with in his bag. And then in the really dusty corner, you see kind of on a bottom shelf, somewhat hidden behind another case, is a bag that looks like a very simple bag that used to be bright in color, that is dulled now, that has various patterns of turquoise, purple, and gold stitching, but just sort of sits there, and it piques your interest.
After nudging Kieran, Timber's gonna walk over to it and then poke his nose at it.
It seems our friend here has an interest in this. Sierra, was it? Do you mind explaining what this is?
She looks over to Timber and kind of steps over and approaches him, and you see her spindly hands come down and pet the back of Timber's head, and they're very bony, and it's not, it's like, I imagine a dog would not like being pet by her.
No, but he's trying to play off like he's enjoying it.
This curious beast, so intelligent.
She's kind of like looking at your head and looking around it. It's like,
Elysian. Before, and then she kind of peeks her head and she's like, "Oh, I'd forgotten this was here."
she kind of shoves the shelf around, picks it up, and kind of holds it in her hands. She keeps her eye on Timber and then returns and walks past you. And she comes up to you, Timber, and kind of gets close and just says,
"I'll provide you with a discount and credit if you promise to me that I can have that curious, intelligent wolf's body upon its death."
Kieran looks down at Timber. Yes, he seems more than willing to offer his corpse to you in that situation. Hopefully it does not arise
Are
anytime
you
soon.
willing to put that into ink?
I've never seen a Groot.
yeah, she's pretty much the collector.
At that point, Timber would look at Kieran and be like,
Yeah, Timber knows how magical ink can do things.
Maybe not in contract, but should the situation arise, we'll definitely remember you.
Fair enough. Perhaps we can make a trade then. But unfortunately, you'll have to pay full price today, or full trade.
And she holds the bag up. She says,
This, my friend, is what is commonly known as a bag of holding.
and you see she opens it up, and she's like,
It's quite dusty and has sat on that shelf a while.
she reaches in, her whole arm goes in, and you see she pulls out the bottom of it, and you see a bunch of junk just falls out of it. You see just like a bunch of glass vials shatter across her table. You see like this full goblin skeleton comes out of it. There's just some like old rusted artifacts and different things that have just been worn by time. A big puff of dust comes out of it and just sort of fills the room. You see several coins fall out of it, gems, like all sorts of reagents and whatnot fall out of it. And then as she's kind of like shaking it, you just see this like, as this very small green slime falls out of it. And as it sits on her table for a little bit, it suddenly goes and just starts dragging itself across her case. Which is,
I'd forgotten what was in there. This is what you are interested in for trade?
Yeah.
I
so
guess
cool.
so. So what does it do exactly?
Well, I see you have your own bags on your shoulders, and they must make you so tired on your journeys. Well, this bag of holding, this small sack, can hold up to 500 pounds of goods, not exceeding the volume of 64 cubic feet. There's roughly 2 feet in diameter at the mouth and 4 feet deep. The bag weighs 15 pounds, regardless of its contents. Retrieving an item from the bag requires an action. But be careful, if the bag is overloaded, pierced, or torn, it can rupture, and its contents will be scattered across the astral sea. You turn the bag inside
Bag
out,
puts
and as
another
you
bag in.
saw, the items will spill forth unharmed. Breathing creatures can hide within the bag for up to 10 minutes, perhaps, depending on how much oxygen is in there. You don't want to put it in another bag of holding. Unless you wish to be spewed out into the guts of the astral sea to die there in cold darkness. Or maybe on the other planes. But mostly it's there to make sure you don't have to worry about how heavy your bags are.
Timber, Wiswick, do you think this is a good trade? Is there anything else that we might need on our journey?
Well, Saoirse, how much are you charging for this fantastic item?
And you see her, and she kind of takes a step back and kind of puts her hand on the helm and comes around it, holds both hands on the top of it.
She says, I can be parted with it for this helmet.
Seems like a fair enough trade to me.
I would offer you more, but it is hard to find a smith who can smelt such metals. And there's very little I can do with an automaton's head, but it is certainly valuable for research. And this metal is curious. That can certainly be parted with the bag.
Okay, you've sold me on the bag. It seems very useful. We'll make the trade then.
You see she drags the helmet across and it falls down below the case. And then she kind of brings her hands together, brings the bag forward, gives it another tug to see if there's anything else in there, closes it up and hands it over to you.
Is there anything else I can offer you today? Precious gems or scrolls of magic?
Personally, I'm all set. Thank you so much, though. You have quite the collection.
Thank you. And she kind of eyes down at Timber. Yes, collection.
Out of character, I remember asking her about, what was it, an element of water? Something along those lines. It was like a reagent.
Yeah, elemental water was something that Timber wanted for his alchemy.
Did we ever acquire that? I don't think we did, right?
No, she said that she would be willing to trade for it if you brought her anything, but that out of pocket it would be quite expensive.
Well, that's something to be considered. I remember, Saoirse, I spoke about the elemental water before. If I were to tell you where you can get more of those helmets and the like, maybe some active ones, more runes and more powers, would that information be worth enough for you to part with some of your elemental water?
Perhaps at a discount, but I would need some compensation. Elemental water is hard to come by unless one is flush with water elementals to harvest it from. And there isn't a elemental farm for 1,000 miles, not until the Gwyn Empire. Perhaps I can give you it for the information and 75 gold pieces.
Timber throws up on her floor.
You see she wags a hand and casts prestidigitation, and the vomit just sort of...
Oh.
Very bad.
Yeah, bad doggy.
So, are you interested
Maybe.
in such things?
Can I reach into Timber's bag and perhaps pull out the cursed item that we found?
You
I
wouldn't
don't
be
even
able
know if that's how
to
it works.
access Timber's bags appropriately.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I guess I'm out of luck.
We'll have to get back to you on that elemental water. I don't know if my alchemical friend is willing to pay that much, but we appreciate the offer, and I'll get back to you. Honestly, it's always a pleasure to see you, Saoirse. It was a great time. I love doing business here. I'll give you a great review to all of the other people in town.
Oh, I certainly don't talk too much. But if people are curious, send them my way. Thank you for your business and your trading. I hope your journeys are well.
Yeah, I hope we can see each other again someday.
Of course. Wiswick Netherrock. And you leave the curiosity shop of Saoirse Valandir with a bag of holding. Yay. Woo! What would you like to do now?
Go meet up with Cal.
Yeah.
Are we all done then?
Yep.
Yes, we got quite an interesting little bag traded for the helm. Apparently it can
Oh.
hold some large amount in its extra dimensional look.
Huron opens it and just sticks his arm in.
That's impressive.
Indeed. I don't know what we put in it yet, but it could have its uses. Maybe stuff
Absolutely.
Wiswick in here when he annoys us.
Huron
I like
says,
that
looking over
idea.
his shoulder coyly.
Maybe I should hold on to that thing.
No, it's mine. I brought the helm.
Huron says, unusually possessive about this. Love it.
All right, shall we go find Cal then?
Yes, he said he was readying the horses.
Wonderful.
Away.
Was he ready?
That's what he told us. Bum.
Sean could have anything happen while you guys are gone.
Yeah,
You encounter
assassins
a
burst into
Come back,
Cal's room.
shambling mound.
The whole half of the village is just leveled. You didn't hear anything. Bodies everywhere.
Is that a terrorist
Cal's like,
square I
"Ah!"
see?
Yeah, massive casting of silence as the bandits are returning and the whole town is on fire.
Maybe we can
And
give
it's just
Saoirse these
Cal,
bodies.
Paravel,
No.
Blackcurrant Lead just holding the
Yeah.
and Toyra is like just kneecapping people.
Yeah, Toyra's just stealth killing
She's got a
everyone.
stealth of like 30. So like
All right. So you find Cal. Would you have liked to have gotten the horses ready at this time?
yeah. So I want to settle our
bill.
bill. I want to get some extra food, etc. That keeps on the road. Maybe some salt, pork,
Yeah.
hardtack. I don't know what people eat back in the day. And
How many days worth of rations would you like to buy?
well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. So I would say let's pick up an extra 25 days worth of ration. Total.
25 days. Okay. Okay. And just basic supplies, nothing fancy.
No.
All right. So altogether, with also settling your bill, let me do a quick calculation on that for the 25 days worth of rations. That would come to a total of 60 gold pieces.
Jesus Christ.
Or actually, nope. Calculated that wrong.
Jesus Christ.
Math.
Yeah.
How much does it cost to eat for a day?
No,
for a
I
person?
100% in my
God.
mind calculated
Silver and nickel.
silver wrong. Because it's 5 silver a ration. So 125 silver is 12 gold pieces. So I'd say with your other bills, I would settle it because you bought some pretty fine drink while you were here. I'd
Some
say
would
it.
be paid for.
True. And you didn't buy too much drink the night before, but you did have another set of rooms. I'd say let's even it out at 20 gold pieces for the whole thing.
Okay.
As well as, and that includes extra food for the horses.
Yeah. Some fodder.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, I'd go out and I would get our horses saddled and all the food distributed evenly amongst saddle bags.
Mhm.
And then I
remember
think
what I named my horse.
I don't have a name for mine yet.
I think it was either
come
Shadow
here,
or
you.
Storm, and I can't.
Come
Shadow.
here, come here, you.
Shadow Storm.
He hasn't done anything worthy of it, of a name. maybe he will one day, and he'll get one.
Okay. So
If I have time, I mess around with that magic weapon I have.
Okay. I'd say it wouldn't take you too long, and I'd say everyone was kind of gone and doing their thing. Since you pretty much stopped doing stuff pretty early, you definitely would have time to attune to the sword before going and settling your business. So you kind of take it out of the wrapping. You wrapped it in. It doesn't have a sheath of its own. And you start to mess with it, and you see as you touch it and kind of swing the blade around, the ooze between the cracks of the blade starts to seep out every now and then and drip down the blade as you're just sort of unsure how the magic works, until suddenly you watch as the ooze slinks down the blade and then onto your fingers, and then it just and goes up your arm and then sort of absorbs into your flesh. Very uncomfortably. It actually stings a little bit, almost as if you were getting there's a hotness and warmth within your veins, as if it was seeping into your veins, as you find yourself somewhat against your own, not of your own volition, saying,
I 127 hours with my arm.
Yeah, your arm is fine. Like once it seeps in, it seems to there be no sign of it having done so, and you just sort of find yourself, not of your own volition, whispering, "He's goth." Suddenly, the ichor shoots up your arm into the blade, and you see the ichor kind of stiffens as the blade extends out to a reach, and as a whip-like blade at this point, and you're able to kind of it kind of responds to your mind as you want it to move as you practice with it in the air, as the prongs of the black have been attuned to you.
We're gonna get real acrobatic with that shit.
A homebrew item by the
Underground Oracle.
Underground Oracle, thank you. A somewhat dormant version of their much more powerful item. But nonetheless, a very cool item. Check them out if you want to find some cool homebrew stuff. But you're able to wrap the blade back up, put it away. If you want to spend a couple silver, you can go and purchase a suitable sheath for it from Scrivers, and then get the horses ready.
I just want a frog for it.
A frog?
Yes. Oh, fine. I'll explain.
Yes, please explain yourself.
Was the thing that actually
Ribbit.
attached swords to, like, your belt, and you technically could hang a naked blade through it.
Okay.
As long as it had like a metal ring that wouldn't cut.
You can easily enough acquire that. All right, so you get your everything ready. You get the horses ready. You see your friends approaching the tavern as you have the horses at the front, and you are reunited.
And it feels so good.
What time did Valen say he'd be down?
He said at an hour's time he should be ready with the fallen Isama.
That hour's almost been up, so he should be.
That
done any
hour's
second
almost
now.
been up, so he should.
All right,
be
should I go help him carry the guy? Joe, what was his name?
Jorhen.
Not you.
Josie.
God.
Sorry, I didn't mean to pry, but I heard someone say Jorhen earlier.
For the hey, Tyler, how are you?
As you see, Toira has been brushing one of your horses the whole time.
And technically, since I'm alert, I knew she was there the whole time.
No, she's immune. She's that stealthy.
Yeah, Toira
okay.
has extra
Stealth 40.
Extra stealth.
anti-alert stealth.
Oh, okay.
She's actually a fallen god that
One with the shadows.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's actually
Manifests.
the big bad of this whole campaign. she'll come back at the end. You'll have not seen her, and she'll be like, "You thought I wouldn't be here.
You feel a
I am-
sharp pain in
From
your knee.
Jasper.
I am everywhere."
I was there when you fought the Hydra.
I was there when this whole damn planet was created. All right, so Cal, you go inside and you see Valen is slowly kind of helping the Asimur down the steps. The Asimur is pretty much mostly unconscious, and he's sort of wrapped in sort of different wrappings over certain wounds, with a very simple cloak wrapped around him. As Valen has much of his armor on, he has his bag over his shoulder that has all the Asimur's clothes, and you quickly go up to help them. And Valen, thank you. It will be slow goings at the beginning of our journey, but hopefully he will be well enough to not slow us down tomorrow.
Yeah, I help him carry the guy.
Mhm. Okay, so at this time it's about it's still pretty early. At this point, it's about 10 a.m. And you can get a pretty good head start on your journey, especially since you'll have to go a little slow with the Asimur. Are you ready to leave Reckland Glen?
Yeah.
I've been
Okay.
ready for 2 days.
Scarlett's been ready for her whole life. All right. So you find yourself leaving. What's the marching order of your train of horses?
I'll be up front keeping an eye.
Timber's horse is in the middle.
You have a horse?
Timber have a horse?
No, I'm
Timber, you
kidding.
don't.
I'm screwing around. I'm sniffing. I'm sniffing around.
Kind of keeping the periphery.
Kind of keeping the periphery, exactly.
Cool. Where is Wiswick's pony?
I guess right in front of Jasper is right in front of Timber.
Okay, so I'll say your second.
I'd say right outside of the town. I would bring up something to speak with everyone.
Okay. All right, so where is everyone in the list, though? We got Scarlet, Wiswick, Kieran, you want to be next? Or do you want to be last?
Kieran would be riding alongside Valen, talking
Okay.
to him, so I assume that's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Cal, do you want to take up the rear?
I will if I have to. I was actually gonna do some scouting. I feel like I'm probably the best rider out of
You
everyone.
could do
Maybe
that.
Valen is, but
Valen might be better than you, but you of your party, you're the one most trained with horses, and I
Yeah.
believe as a fighter, you're actually proficient in mount as
yes.
opposed to other people. So you
Correct.
could definitely ride ahead if you want to.
I mean,
Not far.
technically, Timber
Not
should
like
be scouting,
it's like a
but-
back and forth kind of a thing. Yeah.
Timber, you'd actually probably speed wise would. Oh no, you would be a little bit faster than a horse. Yeah,
You know, horses can run at like 60
only in his
miles an hour.
wolf form though.
Yeah, more for him.
All right, so then I'm just going to say then that Timber and Wiswick are kind of picking up the rear. Valen and Kieran are right after Scarlet, and Cal is keeping a distance ahead, scouting ahead.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Well, guys, I just wanted to talk about what happened yesterday. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it. When I touched that pillar and it sent me somewhere else, it looked a lot like the ruins where we fought the man with the pallid mask. There was a statue there that reminded me of the paintings that we saw before. I believe that it's all connected, and that dark pillar must be a remnant of Magicet's dark path. I think that when I was there was some sort of viewing mechanism, some sort of magical device where you can see places. There was a dam, a large bridge, and even a study of some sort. Perhaps some sort of teleportation what's called pool that was only working for the one location. I'm kind of concerned that it might fall into the wrong hands, but I'm hesitant to tell our friends in the general about it. What do you all think?
Well, Valen's right here listening to the whole conversation, so
Vizik,
Well, I mean, he was gonna find out anyway, but I mean, like, tell him right now. I have a spell. I don't know if
you're
I told
muted,
you.
Sean.
Muted.
Sorry. Valen is writing, kind of chuckles at the mention of it with the Asimir kind of in front of him, kind of him holding him tight there to make sure he doesn't fall off. And he just whispers back, or not whispers, but shouts back. You forgot I was also in the barrows with you. I saw all of it. I cannot say I will not report what I found.
I believe Wiswick meant the spire that we found in behind the waterfall here in Breckland Glen.
Well, as far as I am concerned, I did not see that or hear about it.
That's fair. There may be a connection then with the teleportation circles that we've seen. The one at Brackland Hill, at Orleans / the Satyrs Mandrix Tower. There was the other one that I had found, the Barrows.
Well,
Oh.
it is possible that they may be connected. We know that the Barrows and Tower both had teleportation circles, but this seemed a little different. It was as if it was trans-dimensional in a way. Plus, it really hurt whenever I used it.
Vizik, did you receive the letter that I sent you?
You wolf.
I turned it to hybrid. We're out of the town.
Yeah, I'd say he hasn't engaged in his frolicking as a wolf in the periphery. Because Wisbek kind of brought you all together as you start walking your horses out and getting on them. Go ahead. He asked you if you received the letters that.
Did you receive the letters? The letter that I sent you?
No.
Hmm.
What letter?
Never mind. How did you know to... never mind.
Well, the obsidian spire we found beneath the waterfall was very similar in shape and form, style, as the gateway, the doorway that we found in the Barrows, that mapped out the cosmos. Cosmos, is that a good way to put it?
Yeah.
So it could be possible that you teleported to the larger cosmos. Would my background in religion give me any information on the astral sea and the planes of existence, or
Give me either an Arcana or a Religion check.
can I put that circlet of intelligence on first?
If
I'll do
want to.
religion.
For a price.
I'm proficient in.
Give yourself some guidance.
I already
Is it prepared?
rolled,
Yeah, you'd already rolled, so now.
but it is prepared. It's always prepared. Well, I got a 12.
Not bad. I mean, it's not a huge DC for this. You would have an understanding somewhat of the cosmic order, maybe from a different perspective than, say, a
Right.
wizard would. But you would know that there is this astral sea that fills in the blanks in the void between the different planes of existence and pocket dimensions that create the lands of the gods and other unknown manifestations of those aspects of the universe. And that the astral sea is somewhat this neutral ocean amongst the stars of just pure, unrefined magic and void that just fills up all space that is not already filled up by the planes of existence. It is not particularly a place of any specific deity. It is mostly just what lies between the realms.
The space between is how we often speak of it in Elysium, between our world and the gods, the different planes of existence. Maybe possible that's where you journey to.
Are you?
Why, yes, Kieran, very astute of you.
Hey, thanks.
Are you saying?
All I'm asking is, should I send a message to the General Kingsley right now, letting him know of the possible danger in that town?
Is it dangerous? Do we know that for certain?
Well, we did kill the Hydra, but who else? Who knows what else is gonna show up there looking for that power?
I don't think it's necessary. You can tell him yourself when we get to Driftmarch.
Okay.
But you're the one with the spell. You do what you want.
It doesn't seem that immediate. It doesn't need our attention that immediately. So I'd say it doesn't quite need doing now.
I would keep note of it if you see some similar signs in the future. We may be able to use it to our advantage. And at that, I turn into a wolf and continue walking.
You see Valen kind of looks back towards Wiswick and just says, "If I know what the general is doing right now in his journey, he is too busy to be concerned with these greater mysteries. He will know at least that there are dangers beneath the ground, strange artifacts and powers from my reports. What you wish to tell him about your journey is up to you. But he will know at the very least that there are treasures beneath Tresix that must be kept safe from those who would use them against the innocent."
Speaking of which, what is it exactly that your general is doing here? Besides keeping the peace, as he put it. And for that matter, you yourself were gone the other day. Do you mind if I inquire to your actions?
Certainly. I've seen much of your work, all of you, and for potentially lack of foresight, I seem to trust you all. I was acquiring the proper reagents to create the ingestible that I was giving to Johan here. These parts, very few know that Tresix has a deep, deep history in the dirt here, in the earth. The ruins we saw are a glimpse into that history. But between then and now, at one point, these lands were my people's lands. Some of the things that grow here I still respond to our touch. So there are particular roots and reagents that other eyes might not see or know to use, as I have. And that was mostly what I was doing on that day. What the general is doing in Tresix at all, well, as far as he will tell me, and I am one of his most trusted companions. Tresix requires order. It is the most important kingdom for the Quintarchy. As you can see, and he kind of points as you're getting somewhat of a distance from the town now. He points at the lush farmlands around you that you can spot in the distance workers starting to till the earth and prepare it for planting as spring has come now. You see some livestock around amongst this, and he just points to all of this and he says, Tresix is the breadbasket of the Quintarchy. It feeds many. And that food coming through Oxlin is part of the king's power. And Kinsley is here to preserve it. From lax lords and a somewhat absent king in Meadowin. We were to come here regardless. Stop in Magicset and make our way to Meadowin. We did not expect to come to this sort of conflict. But it is proof of why we needed to come. The new king would like a stronger presence throughout the Quintarchy. And we are here to do that.
I can see the need with bandits running amok and all sorts of creatures like those bullywugs. I'd say your general has quite the work cut out for him.
Yes, he is used to the lands of Oxlin, where there are plenty of soldiers and guards to keep the monsters at bay. Tresix is not as lucky. And there have been reports of increased activity throughout the kingdoms. Well, those that respond. There's not much news out of Svarwald. Kinsley is to go there next, once we have secured Tresix.
Well, I for one am sick of all of this small town chaos. Why don't we go to the big city? I hear that Caer Dolan has some great libraries.
Caer Dolan is quite a gem of the kingdoms. Largest city in all the land. But we have a job to do. Once we get to Driftmarch, if you are done with your work with the general, you can do as you wish. But I have a feeling he will
did
ask
say
much
he had
more
some
of you.
connections there for me.
Oh, certainly. Kinsley has the ear of the king himself. Heinrich. I've not had the pleasure. But Kinsley has much influence in Oxlin. Hopefully he can help you, like he helped me. And he looks to Scarlet at that.
I hope so too.
Let us make way. We have lots of traveling to do today.
Yeah.
Okay. So, first day of travel. Cal, I'd like you to give me a perception check. And then anyone else who's keeping an eye out can give one as well.
We're traveling. Can I just roll for my familiar and not me?
Yeah.
Great. Remember, it's
16,
hearing
Sean.
only.
16, okay.
22.
22. All right.
18.
1.
11.
Okay.
Aw,
So,
your
I'll-
passive's higher.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, do I just go with my passive? But I don't know if Sean would.
you can go with your passive if you want.
I mean, I don't know.
I
if
kind of like
Kieran-
the ruling that perception checks can sometimes just be baseline your passive, since that's what your passive is. But you
Yeah.
won't notice as much as a successful
Right.
active perception check. You'll notice more superfluous things, exterior things, as opposed to the deeper things you'd find with a perception check. So you can choose to, but I'd say I'd say in the future it has to be before the roll.
Okay. I'll just
Okay.
keep with the 11 since I rolled.
Okay. So traveling slow today, you can get about 18 miles in.
How many miles is it to Drift March?
Roughly 200 miles.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it ain't close.
Yeah. So I'm going to use these perception checks for the first 2 days of travel, because you're within the general. You're close to civilization, so to speak,
Civilization.
and very little happens on these first 2 days. You're simply traveling along the road. I'm assuming you're staying on the road this whole time. You notice.
Get off the road.
You notice on your first day, you're mostly moving through farmland. You can kind of see as the night starts to come, you see small smokestacks coming from farmhouses. You hear the occasional sheep. It seems as though the lands north of Brackland Glen have been less affected by the bandits that were south of Brackland Glen, for now. So it's very nice and peaceful, and you occasionally, some of you even find yourselves like nodding off on a journey. It's a very uneventful day. You find camp easy enough, and sort of with that sense of security from the day, you take your rest around the campfire easy enough. Second day comes, and you are awoken by a light but very present rain, as there's a storm above. You're awoken as a few drips hit your face. You hear the singeing of the embers in the campfire being put out by the rain, as bird sound becomes less frequent. But you get up nonetheless to trudge through. Thankfully, the roads are well kept in this area, so it's not going to be too much of a slog. You notice as you awake, you notice Valen standing over and helping up Jorhen, the Asimur, who now, eyes wide and somewhat awake, he is strong enough to be standing. I'd say, Kieran, you're the first one awake of the group, so you kind of see, cresting the hillock that you're kind of camping around, with the morning mist and the light rain, you can see the Asimur standing on his own away from the campsite, staring off at the kind of misted, rainy, overcast fields ahead of you, where you start to see less and less farmland and more clusters of woods and streams and more wild plains. As he's standing there just looking out on his own in the morning.
Still in his meditative position, sitting on the floor, or ground, calls out to him, "Feeling better this morning, are we?"
You see, he looks back at you. He's not too far away from you, and he hears, and he doesn't say anything. And you see when he turns, you can get a better. You've only seen him. You were there when they talked to him, right?
Who? Yes, yeah,
Yes,
I was
okay.
there.
So you only saw him through the crack of the doorway, and a few times when you were traveling with him before. He looks. You can see more of him now as he's standing tall. He's quite well built and muscular, kind of the body of a soldier. He's got this distinctive nose that looks as though it's been broken several times, and kind of has a sharp twist at the end. You can see, even in this peaceful stance, you can notice one of his hands is kind of fidgeting, tensing kind of nervously. He's very quiet, but he stands with a certain arrogance almost as you look at him. And he just looks down at you, and he's got this, his hair is held back in a bun. It's this very dark black hair. He's got very pale skin. His eyes are completely black. As you can see, kind of underneath the bandages, covered in kind of the muddy salve that Valen created, you see a very faint light glittering underneath the skin of his chest as he looks down at your calling and just nods to you.
not one to prod, Kieran just goes back into some prayers.
You all slowly, several hours, or not that many hours later, awake to this rain coming down and hitting you in the face as you notice the Aesmer coming back to the camp and walking on his own. He has a light limp to him, but he is completely autonomous at this point and does not require aid. As Valen kind of stops him for a second and kind of grabs his jaw and looks in his eyes and checks the bandages and then kind of taps a hand on the shoulder with a nod. You're good to go. And here Jorhan just, yes, I can hold my own. And you can notice immediately, without the harsh voice you heard before, a distinct northern Quintarchy accent, either of Scythian or Zvervold descent. Similar to Valen's, as Valen is from the Wood Elf lands, Terramron, which is in the same region.
Glad to see you're up. I'm Cal. Yeah, we haven't met. I'm Cal.
I don't think I've met many of you. I vaguely remember some of you.
I'm Cal. The particularly tall one next to me, that's Kieran. Are you a wolf right now?
Amidst the conversation you're having, I'll turn into a hybrid.
The
Timber.
terrifyingly mutating one is Timber. The little one here, I say, putting my hand on Wiswick's shoulder because I respect him, is my friend Wiswick, and the redhead is Scarlet. We're glad to see you up. It's been a while.
Yes, it has been a rough few days. I'm remembering much now, and it is hard to take in. I do remember somewhat of what you did in the barrow to help me from that creature. Thank you for what you've done.
You're welcome. Now you focus on getting better, and we'll get all this cleaned up as soon as I kill this fruit fly.
So
We'll get you back to
you
your people.
you all get back on your horses, get them ready for the day. Cover your heads, put on whatever hoods you might have as the rain starts to get more intensive as you continue to move on. There seems to be a storm above that seems to go as far as you can see across the horizon. It's not a dark
right.
storm, so you're not going to see. Yeah.
Sorry. This storm. Are we talking like cold rain, or is it like normal rain because it's springtime?
Yeah, it's that early spring cold rain that still holds some of the winter bite, but is not freezing.
Well, then I'm going to take off my overcoat, armor, and hat. Not the hat, sorry. My overcoat and armor and stuff. And I'm going to put them in an oilcloth and roll them up appropriately and put them in my pack. Because that shit'll chafe and you'll have open sores. Wear it for too long.
You don't want to have to polish up your chainmail either.
Totally forgot. I'm going to put
Even though I wear it under like
I'm going to put my
Still
cloak
can get wet.
and my scarf and my baggy stuff, my clothes, the additional hidden clothes in the bag of holding. Now that we have it.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go to Kieran, but I'm just gonna reach in and just not even ask him. Just
He rudely just opens up the bag at your waist and shoves his arm in, putting his clothes in.
I know how to use this.
Wait, what is that? Wait, what is that? I stay still taking off my shit.
Caliph, this is a bag of holding. You can put the items that you only want in here, and Kieran will carry it for you. And it will be no additional weight to him.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to do that to him, but
It will be no additional weight to him.
Wait, what do you mean it's a bag of holding? I don't.
It's
all
magic.
Bags are bags of holding.
It's correct. This is a
It's
magical
Cal.
bag where the items being held are in another dimension. At least that's
jump
what
in the
my
bag.
wife told me.
It's not Kieran can stop you as you start to try to climb into the bag. It's not a.
Kieran does not.
hop in and
Actually,
sucks you in like a black
after
hole.
his initial shock at Wiswick going in, he's like, "Oh yes, here, look." Starts shoving him in there.
And Cal, you see very quickly, kind of gets his legs in, just, and you see Kieran tightens the strings of the bag, and you see it's way too small even for Wiswick, and you see no like pushing on the edges. Wiswick, once inside, you just are in this very dark emptiness, another void, and you just kind of see like a very tiny pinch of light coming down from what would be the tightened opening, and it just enough to give you your dark vision, and you could just see like it's empty space, and then there's just Timber's cloak sitting there on the base, folded up.
No slime's left over in there.
Oh no.
He should. What?
I will mercifully say to you, Wiswick, that you had the foresight to take your socks off
Yes.
as you entered into another pocket dimension item.
I don't know. That would have been kind of fun.
Immediate atomic explosion.
Okay.
And well, that would have been Kieran's fault because I was only going to go knees up to the knees in there.
Well,
So,
once your feet
how
go
much
in.
Still would have been socks into a pocket dimension and still would have ripped a hole in space-time and sucked you all into another dimension.
How much can it hold?
500 pounds.
About 500 pounds.
So like, so you just like put like a horse in there?
Yeah, if you could fit it through the opening.
Pony, I suppose.
While they're having a conversation, I'd like to talk to Valen at some point. It doesn't have to be right now, but just want to throw it out there. I want to have a conversation with him.
Okay.
Tec-
So
technic- Technically, you can throw a horse in there, but the horse will die in 10 minutes. So will Wiswick. Probably less.
as Wiswick,
Okay.
as Wiswick comes out of the bag, I think it's an even funnier image if Wiswick like flipped his socks off and then jumped in the bag.
I was thinking head first dive, but you know.
So could it hold like 500 pounds of water?
If you wanted to, yeah.
Technically, but you have to grab the water to bring it out.
No, you just go to a waterfall and hold it, right?
Right, you
You-
hold
right.
it and then you would just turn it upside down and just dump it all out.
Yeah.
technically,
So you
technically.
can carry around like a whole.
Gentlemen, this is an illuminating conversation, but can we get on with it, please?
Nope, we're
I
gonna
think
keep
there's
No,
talking
we're gonna
about
keep talking
this.
about this.
I think there's
As
something
you
there.
pedantically talk about the uses for the bag of holding,
By the way, I have no shirt on.
I imagine this is all around the very smoky fire that's going out because of the rain that's falling all around you. As you've packed up all of the things that you want to protect from the rain, and Valen is packing his stuff up, and you all get onto your horses and start making your way. Scarlet, after a few moments of traveling on the road, you can bring your horse back to Valen to speak with him.
Okay. I'd like to do that. Captain, I never asked you that night you came to speak with me, but I'm curious. What is it that the General pardoned you from?
I suppose it was only a matter of time before you asked. Well, as I said previously, my people in Termran, they do not have trials for criminals when they are caught. And I happen to be caught. You see, Taramran is a closed wood. They have their arrangements with Oxlin, but they do not allow anyone in or out without their express permission. As you may imagine, with some of the artifacts and specific magic properties of the Wood Elves, it is a ripe situation for, call it what it is, smuggling. Movement of individuals in and out, movement of artifacts in and out, knowledge of passageways through the woods that are safest. And I was one of them. The general was on an embassy matter. He was visiting to discuss the most recent treaty signed between the William Hart commune and King Heinrich. Or not King Heinrich, his father. And he stopped in my commune and saw that they were about to cut off my hands. He parlayed for me. And the rest is history. I have been a humbled tracker, scout, and servant to General Kinsley since.
Thank you for sharing.
Of course, we all have our histories, as you've shared with me.
How much do you know? Another curiosity.
Give me a persuasion check.
17.
Well, I know that the court fancies themselves lords and ladies, and that they are not your traditional crime syndicate.
No.
I know that they follow the man William Mason, known as the King of the Court, in that he has dark whispers in his ears.
That he does.
Activity of the court has become erratic over the last several years, according to Kinsley. And while I served him more outside of his home, outside of his stead in Grisham, he has shared some information with me. I have tracked individuals of the court. I have learned some information about them. Powerful institution.
Yes. Very powerful. Which is why I'm very much hoping that the general will be as merciful as he was with you.
Well, I am certain that the general will be very interested in information from a former lady of the court.
I was afraid of that.
As I said the night before, he is a good man. You can trust him. As I
don't know. I don't know if you've noticed, but I have a very hard time trusting people.
Yes, it is written all over your face. But when I say trust, I do not mean he must be familial to you. But you must trust a little to get something. Otherwise you're alone. Like I was. And like you were.
She's not alone anymore, Kieran says, because I assume that with my passive perception, would overhear.
Yes, Kieran,
Some
you
of
can
this.
definitely overhear. And he looks back at you, Kieran, and smiles and says, he was right. You seem to have found better company in the court.
Far better than the court.
Dare I say, friends.
Almost.
And you see at that he kicks up the speed of his horse, who trots further ahead, ahead of the group a little bit, closer up towards where Cal is keeping watch as well. And I just realized that entire time the Aesimer was sitting in front of him. I'll say for the first leg of the journey, the Aesimer was on foot since you were going slow.
He was in our
he
discussion
actually-
of how to use the bag of holding.
Yes, he was
He
busy.
could have been riding with Kieran. Kieran would have been more than happy to.
I would say if anything, he'd be riding on the pony with Wiswick.
Did she just say something nice?
I say to the ASMR.
Jorhan kind of looks down at you, just as I have not known you very long, but it seems as though, yes, she is less prickly.
I mean, that's pretty big for Scarlet. We should have a celebration or something.
I think we must move on.
Well, maybe just a little spectacle.
As you say that, the Aestimer kicks up the pony that starts to trot forward, and you're like, "Grrr!" Not used to the speed of this.
Slow down, Jasper.
Meanwhile, Cal's up ahead and heard none of this.
Yeah, Cal, you've heard none of this.
Yeah, no, I'm like a couple hundred yards away.
Yeah, definitely, Cal. You're kind of keeping your distance, still somewhat processing the last few days as you are distracting yourself with keeping an eye out, and you're almost keeping too good of a watch in this sort of more safe area of the road, as you just sort of hear a bird in the distance shooting out of the rainy forest, and just keeping an eye on the hillocks in the distance. Love a good hillock. Every now and then passing your eyes over clusters of forests and seeing nothing of strangeness. Occasionally you'll see a large beast come out and just sort of just looks sort of like a strange combination of a yeti and an ape that just sort of sits at the edge of the forest. Doesn't seem like much of a threat. Like the day passes with little to no disruption. You find your rest and begin the next day of your journey. Would you like to go faster at this point, or the fast pace?
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay.
Or you know what we could do? Nah, it's fine.
So at this point, it's still gonna take quite a while. So we're gonna do another kind of 2 days worth of perception checks for it. So go ahead and give me perception checks for those who are keeping an eye out.
Nice. Another 22.
13 from Jet.
I'm really
27.
distracted by all the brushes and stuff twigs have been getting in my ears. I got a 6. Sorry, it's a total is a 7. 6 is my modifier.
Oh wow. Okay, so a natural one.
I got a
Great.
natural 1.
Yeah, that's what I had last roll.
Cal, what'd you get?
13.
Kieran, are you going passive or?
No, I went active with a 27.
Nice. Okay, so the first day, I'd say, once again, goes with little to no issue. You start moving much faster on this day, but you've noticed that you're pretty much leaving the orbit of Magin Set at this point, and out of the civilization and entering into more dense wildlife. You find your rest, and it's easy enough. The fourth day of travel, with about 4 more days left to travel after this, everything seems fine. The clouds above are still rainy. There's not as much rain coming down. but it's still a light rain. The storm is gathering a bit more. There's less rain and more kind of you hear the thunder in the distance. It's very hard to see much, other than just the endless trees and hills. Anyone who got a 20 or higher on your perception check would notice two things. Up ahead, about a mile, you would notice that the road splits and moves around a very densely packed pine forest that's kind of clustered around a hillock, or actually more of a large hill than a hillock.
Oh, I'm allergic to pine. That's why. Sorry.
The forest is covered in a dense fog that kind of sifts in between the trees, and it's strangely, instead of kind of the road goes around it, seems to be very out of the way to go around it, like miles out of the way. As you're kind of looking from atop a downward hill into this valley. It's a strange looking forest, and it's odd that the road is split instead of just taking down the forest, a path to the forest. The only one who would notice this is Curon, since he rolled above a 25. Because it's cloudy, it's hard to see. You could also notice kind of small mountains off to the closer to the horizon. Curon, you would notice about halfway through this journey towards this forest. Maybe you're half a mile from the forest. Everyone can see it now clearly. You can see that the road splits awkwardly. You would see very quickly as you're moving a shadow move over the ground. It's very subtle because of the overcast sky, but you kind of notice that you're looking forward and kind of Scarlet's looking around and make eye contact with her, and you just see a shadow come over Scarlet. It's very faint. Very faintly breaking the overcast light, as if there's something flying above.
Valen, or anyone, is anyone familiar with this area?
I should have rolled for Valen. He didn't see it either. Valen kind of perks up at this because it's been kind of a boring journey. I am not too familiar with Tresix or this area. I suppose it can't be much different from the lands just slightly north.
Well, that pine grove ahead looks ominous, but could have sworn I saw something casting a shadow overhead, just briefly.
You see, Valen looks ahead to the forest. He seemed to be somewhat distracted before this. And says, that I do know about. That is Vergrin's Weald. It's an old cluster of ancient wood. It is, if you believe local rumors, it is haunted, of course. And it's said to be the last vestige of my people, actually, in this land. So there are great elven artifacts in there that few are interested in risking to find. It is a very small wood, but nigh impenetrable by most, and any attempts at logging have been thwarted by creatures inside. They just decided to build a road around it instead. And then Valen kind of looks up to the sky at your mention of something flying over, and Curon, you can give a perception check as well.
Oh. Another 27.
Okay, Valen, you see him kind of like covering his eyes and kind of squinting up into the clouds, and there's just sort of like rain coming down. He's having trouble seeing, but then both of you see for just a second coming down beneath the clouds and then dipping up into them the very large, massive wings. A small body that's elongated to a long tail that you can just barely make out a point to it, and a long neck with a draconic-like head. As you just see this thing dip down, back up into the clouds, and you just hear a faint screech in the distance from it, a roaring screech.
Can I check to see if I would know what this is?
Give me a nature check.
Nature's plus 17 total.
17. Looking a little closer, and you see it dip down again. and kind of stay beneath the clouds and circle. It's probably about, I mean, it's pretty high above you, and it's probably off the
Right.
road by a mile or two. This is a wyvern.
Okay.
And you know that wyverns usually live closer to the mountains, but they hunt down in valleys often for livestock or people, or other beasts that are a decent enough meal for them. And that they're pretty aggressive usually.
Wyverns above. We should be careful. Is Cal still out there? We should warn him.
Yeah, Cal is still ahead.
I'll go warn Cal. The rest of you, your eyes on the skies. No telling. Timber, are you okay?
As you see, Timber is sopping wet. And just like that real wet dog look where it's skinnier than it looks with its fur out.
Kieran clicks his mouth. Come, Rocco, let's go. And he takes it. That's
And,
right. Kieran's named his horse Rocco.
Kieran starts to trot
Rocco
forward ahead,
Balboa.
and gallops up to where Cal is. Cal, you're keeping an eye out. You haven't noticed the wyvern above, but you do notice the haunted-looking forest ahead. And quickly, Kieran comes up beside you, trotting up.
Cal, how goes the scouting?
Clear through that forest, but I can't see much beyond.
Yes, Valen informed us that's
Verigrin.
Verigrin's Weld. It's a relic of the Wood Elves when they occupied these lands well before man came.
Does he think it's passable?
He said they built a road that goes around, but of more immediate threat is to the skies. I saw a wyvern.
And that's
Very
when you would
aggressive.
hear, very much like when you're playing in Skyrim and you hear a dragon in the distance.
And you're like, you fuck, god damn it.
Yeah, you just hear the echoing above as you see it kind of dipping down, coming closer down towards ground. You see it kind of circling the field about a half mile to your right off the road.
Okay. Does it look like it's seen us or anything like that, or is it occupied?
It's unsure, but it is most certainly looking for something to attack and eat,
Okay.
based on how low it's flying and
Right,
the way
right,
it's
right,
circling
right,
the
right.
fields.
And we're open field till that fort, right?
Correct.
Fuck.
I see what you're doing here.
I-
You're gonna try to force us into the woods and go on another
Hey.
little adventure.
Hey,
And Kieran is here for it.
you can do whatever you want. You know, you're on a road that's just slightly kind of hillocked above. I'm saying hillock a lot today.
It's like a causeway? Is it like a causeway?
Yes, thank you. It's like a causeway with very shallow ditches on the left and right that lead to somewhat bumpy fields. On your right, it descends down into that lower field where the wyvern is currently circling. It doesn't seem like there's much wildlife in that field. It actually looks a bit more like wetlands.
Mm.
As you are approaching this split fork in the road that goes around the forest, which is about a half mile away at this point. The wyvern is a similar half mile away from you.
I want to lean over to Scarlet and I say,
I bet you I can hit that thing from here.
No.
I can do it.
No,
I got
no.
new
I
spells.
believe you, but
It won't
please,
see it coming.
no. The
As
last thing we need is to engage this thing.
Wiswick is saying that, Timber grabs the pony's like
Lead.
leash bridle. Thank
Bridle.
you, thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Or
And,
reins. Which do you mean?
I don't know the string.
Yeah, you grab the horse's bridle. Or
I grab the horse's bridle and I start leaning it to like the direction we're supposed to go in.
I kind of just mumble and say,
I bet I can hit it about 2 or 3 more times before it gets here.
I believe you can. That doesn't mean you should. We should take
Alright,
my
go-
approach to this. Let's be stealthy.
Go back to the others. Tell them to dismount. Get them on the other side of the causeway here. We'll go through just under cover. We'll use what cover it offers to to keep us below the line here. Won't help us if it goes right over, but it'll help a little.
Right. Sounds good. And Kieran
I'll get up to the forest line and meet you there.
rides back to the group.
Okay.
Cal dismounts and leads his horse off the path a little bit on the opposite side of the causeway from the wyvern.
Okay.
Hey, Kieran, bet me that I can't hit that thing from here.
Oh my god.
I am more than certain that you could hit that thing from here. Your
Kieran, will
skills
you
with
put him back
magic
in the
are...
bag, please?
Cal suggested we dismount and travel on the other side of this hillock, below where the wyvern might see us. He said he'll meet us at the forest ahead. And then Kieran leading, goes off the side and dismounts to lead his horse.
Do the rest of you follow?
Correct.
Yep,
Wait,
and
yes.
I dismount and I keep a very close eye on Wisdom.
The plan is to go into the scary forest?
No, the
Nope,
plan
we're
is to
just
go
gonna
around
approach it.
Okay, sounds good then. Let's do it.
I need you not to talk.
Unless the DM decides to force us.
What I would like you all to do then is make stealth checks as you conceal yourself behind the hillock.
Is
The
it
hillock
is
makes
it
us
obvious?
Causeway.
So did Kieran specifically say we need to be stealthy about this? We need to be.
I guess he didn't say specifically. I mean, unless he wants to.
No, Kieran would not. He would just been like this,
Okay.
It's not even about being stealthy. It's about just eliminating line of sight.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, then I'm not going to cast Path Without Trace. I wouldn't.
So you lead your horses past the side of the causeway, start to move in the ditch. Within the ditch, there's a lot of water that's gathered here, and it's just sort of a slog as you're slopping through it. You hear the roar of the wyvern in the distance. It does seem to be getting a little bit closer, but you can't see it from here. The causeway is tall enough, at least, that you do not have eye line of it. And you're traveling 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet. Rough. You start to hear some buzzing insects around you. Then you just hear as above you, not immediately above you, but probably like 60 feet up in the air, you just see the shadow and the outstretched wingspan of this wyvern as it just flies over you and towards the field in front of you, which is a bit more solid ground, a bit more hilly, but it is now on this side of the causeway. What do you do?
Slowly but carefully, go to the other side of the causeway.
Okay.
At this being heightened, I would cast Path Without Trace.
Okay.
I don't know what I didn't mean to roll. It fell out of my
Do you
hand.
what are you guys doing now that you're
How close is the wyvern from us?
at this point? It's flying pretty fast. It flew right over you.
Right.
So it's probably like 200 feet away from you at this point as you start to try to do something about it. And you can see it's starting to kind of as it's starting to do a circle in this section of the wild.
Kieran's gonna jump up on his horse and try to quickly take it up and over as well. But definitely isn't really trying to be stealthy, more trying to just break sight.
Okay. What are the rest of you doing?
Similar, but I'm trying to be stealthy.
Okay, so Scarlet, give me a stealth check.
And did you cast Pass Without Trace, Timber?
I did.
Okay, plus 34.
Okay. Scarlet, you quickly bring your horse up to the main road, and the horse is so quiet, and you're so quiet. Everyone's kind of doesn't even notice that you've gotten back onto the road and onto the other side. Stefan, you notice Scarlet as she gets ahead of you, and her horse kind of almost does like a sliding maneuver down to the other side of the causeway. This side is a little bit deeper. Wiswick and Timber, what are you doing?
Sort of the same thing as Scarlet.
Yeah.
Except Timber's trying to make sure that Wiswick's following him.
Yes, thank you. I forgot to do that.
Yeah, Wiswick falls a lot through obediently.
Okay. Are you stealthing? You guys are both stealthing, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay.
Except I rolled a 2, which is actually.
I got a 34. Can I help him?
I got a 15 total.
Oh wow, that's a good stealth. Cal, what are you doing?
So
By
I
this
was
point,
trying to
Cal,
move
By this point, Cal, you're getting pretty close to the forest.
well, then, if I make it to the forest, I'm going to get right inside the line of trees to cover and tie my horse, just so it can't be seen.
Okay. Would you want to just kind of try to dash for that now?
No, I'm not dashing. I'm moving at the same clip I was moving,
Okay. Good to know.
so as not to provide, if it's like T-Rex size, you know.
Where is its perception? There it is. Scarlet, you feel confident that you got over Timber. You feel confident as you wait and watch for Wiswick. You kind of see Wiswick had hesitated for a moment, but the Aesimer on the horse kind of brings it up and follows along. Okay. You all feel generally safe until you kind of get up to the top of the causeway, and Scarlet dips down into the ditch. Timber ditch slips down into the ditch. Huron and Wiswick are a little bit more exposed, I guess, with it. And there's just sort of the proper moment as Wiswick and Huron, as you're about to go into the ditch, you turn and look, and you see the wyverns turn. It starts flapping its wings hard towards you. Now, the wyvern at this point is about 250 feet away from you.
Okay.
Roughly. You are about a quarter mile away from the woods.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to do?
Kieran's gonna ready guiding bolt, which is a range of 120 feet. And upon seeing this thing, he's just gonna put it into high gear and start galloping towards the forest.
Okay. Do the rest of you do the same?
I'm gonna shoot something at it because I've got a great spell and I want to show it off. I now have a new ability called Alchemical Casting, which allows me to expend a second level spell slot and change any spell that I choose that I cast that has a range higher than 30 feet into 1 mile.
Jesus.
What?
So I can make some pretty cool fireball fireworks if I want to blow all my spell slots at the end of the day.
Man, I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd say, Wiswick, you can do this as the Aesimer, as Jorhen starts to push the pony into a gallop following Huron. What I'm going to want to do now is this isn't like straight battle initiative. This is more like skill check initiative, but I'd like everyone to roll in an initiative.
Yeah, you really gotta stop doing that.
It's life from me. All right, 20 to 25.
29.
Oh,
Nice.
Got a natural
but
20.
I got nat 20.
Yeah, so did I.
What'd you get, Cal?
Well, mine's better. It's a 24.
Okay. 20 to 24. 15 to 20.
16, Kieran.
10 to 15.
11.
11.
Okay. Do you guys decide who goes first?
I do.
I got
At the same time, because I'm pulling Wiswick.
what? Plus,
Don't worry, Jorhan is controlling the pony.
Oh, okay. All right. Everything's okay now. All right.
So Wiswick or
It
I guess you
doesn't
can
matter.
decide
I
on
don't
your
care.
turn.
Yeah.
awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. no problem.
That's everyone, I think. Yes. You could do. Okay. All right, then Scarlet, you're up first.
Okay. I don't have any fancy range spells, so I am just going to flat out book it for the edge of the trees. Where can I see Cal at this point, or he's still too far away?
Yes, I'd say you can see Cal because he's not so far ahead of you that you can't see him. He
Okay.
stayed within eyesight, but yeah, you can see Cal.
Okay, I'm going to mad dash it straight ahead to where I can see him.
Okay.
Actually,
Alright.
so if I use my movement, bonus action dash, and action dash, can I get all the way up there?
Well, you could definitely get up to Cal with all of that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's
All
what
right,
I'm
so
gonna
you
do.
have dashed ahead. All right, so that brings us to Cal then.
So I said I tied up my horse. I am not doing that anymore. I am instead on the horse, getting ready to ride out to help anyone who needs help if they can't make it to cover.
Okay, so
But I'm
as
not
you're
doing that.
okay, so you're waiting, readying to help anyone as you're on your horse. You're about, I'd say you're about. The forest is close, but it would still take you a few rounds to get up to it.
I thought you said I was in the forest, right?
No. I said that. I asked you if you wanted to dash to the forest. And you
Oh
said
no, I'm still getting to cover.
Okay, so you want to move towards the forest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'd say that with your dash action and movement, you can get on your next turn you'll reach the forest line.
Cool.
Okay, and you kind of turn behind you as you're dashing as you see Scarlet quickly catching up to you. All right, Huron, you're up.
So it's not within range of 120 feet.
No, but I would allow you to have ready that in this turn instead of before we did initiative.
Okay. So yeah, so getting that readied for when it comes into range. I guess if that's my action, I'll just use my movement to head towards the forest.
Okay, so you start to head towards the forest. You kind of readying this ball of light forming in your hand, waiting for the thing to get closer to you. All right, you watch as the creature is getting closer for sure. Probably will be here on the top of the next initiative order. But you see Valen riding on the back of his horse that has now gotten up on the causeway, is riding towards you all, and you see him very quickly knock an arrow, hands off the reins, pull it back, and fire it off towards the creature with
What a
a
badass.
he's a badass. When I remember he's here,
Yeah.
and he will hit the creature, as you see, because longbows have ridiculous range, especially with someone who's good at them. He fires off this arrow, and you see the creature coming towards you. And as the arrow goes 100 feet, 200 feet, and then right before it hits the creature, it splits into several different thorns as
Nice.
the hail of thorns clashes against the creature, and you see, as best you can, you see the creature start to do kind of barrel rolls as its dexterity is avoiding as much of these thorns as possible, but is definitely going to be hit by a lot of it. And that is, so you see the thorns whipping through the thin membrane of its wings. As Valen deals a bunch of damage. All right, and he keeps riding forward. Wiswick or Timber, whoever wants to go first.
Go for it.
I think I see the rest of my party shoot out ahead of me,
Yeah.
and I get a little nervous, and I think,
Well, maybe I should just run like everybody else. Nobody seems to be turning around, so
instead of casting what I was gonna cast, I cast haste on Jasper.
Aw,
Okay. Holy shit. Okay.
Impressive.
Uh,
Oh,
nice. So haste. Remind me how that affects movement for
It just gives you an extra
creatures?
action so you can dash.
double dash.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
it actually does
Mario
double the
Kart?
speed in the. It says your speed is double.
nice.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right. So Jasper just starts dashing forward at Mach speeds as you see the Aesmer just sort of like, whoa! let's go of the reins, and Wiswick, you confidently take them from him as Jasper is just feet causing like leaving streaks of smoke in the air as he's just darting across this causeway, moving a phenomenal distance. Wow. That's
I want to.
Jasper moves 240 feet.
Wow.
I'm shouting out insults at Scarlet's horse as I zoom past her.
Yeah, you would definitely zoom past, and you would be real close to Cal at this point. You pretty much be catching right up with Cal on the start of the next turn.
Don't talk to him
Yeah, at
like
which
that.
point I would just be like, and just get on the horse.
All right, so it
That
is.
horse couldn't beat a fat man encased in concrete being dragged backwards by a dragon.
All right, so you watch as this wyvern, it starts to really flap its wings, and it just starts to dive down and glide towards you as it is now it is within 100 feet of you as it has made its way forward.
Right.
It will yes, you could definitely pew pew it right now, but it is definitely on the next turn will be within feet combat distance.
Well, you said it's within 100 feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can cast.
It's 90 feet
guiding-
away.
I can cast Guiding Bolt. At
Yes.
120.
I meant a threat to you soon.
Gotcha.
So go ahead and roll to hit.
Dirty 20.
Nice. It definitely hits.
I'm casting it at 3rd level. That's 66.
All right.
Execute order 66.
How much
Unfortunately,
damage is
it's
that?
only 16 points of damage.
16. Okay. Still good.
Good, Kira.
Stop it.
As you see this creature who is starting to, it just took a lot of damage to its wings from Valen. It's flapping forward and it's diving. And as it's diving, you see Huron riding almost like Gandalf in Minas
That's what I was
Tirith.
going for. Yes.
Fires off this beam of light that shines through the valley and goes into the creature's face, and you can see it kind of pulls back its wings and stops for a moment as it's sort of blinded and takes this damage as light erupts around it, guiding any attacks upon it for the next round or the next attack on it, as it's just sort of, you hear that in the distance as it then resumes its dive forward. Anything else? Oh, actually, that was a reaction.
Correct.
So, Scarlet, top of the order now.
How far away am I from the woods?
So, Cal has another, 100 feet to get to it. So
Okay.
you're just getting up on Cal, so it would take
Okay.
you double dash and a little extra to get there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's what I want to do. So wouldn't get there because 30. I get about 90 feet, so I'd just barely not be there.
Yeah, you'd be on the edge of the woods at this
Yeah.
point. You would essentially be able to turn back and watch and wait for your friends.
Yeah, I'm less than useless in this fight, so that's what I'm going to keep doing.
So Cal, you kind of had waited at first for your friends and then started kicking up your horse, and you see as you're going, Scarlet comes up to meet you, and you are likely to arrive roughly at the same time at the forest edge now, which you are up now, Cal.
So looking back, is that wyvern about to intercept the party and Huron?
Yes. So this wyvern is likely on the next round to intercept Huron, Wiswick, and Valen because they've been using actions.
Yeah.
instead of moving. Actually, no. Wiswick is up with you.
Right. It's just Huron and Valen.
It's just Kieran and Valen, yeah.
All right. So I, on my horse now, I rear around as cool as I can, and I start riding.
All right.
Towards them.
Like Jaime Lannister with that spear towards the dragon.
I mean, I wasn't gonna relate it to anything because I have imagination.
Well, I like to relate things. But so, Scarlet, you ride past Cal and you notice him stop as you're riding, and you keep looking and you're looking back as he just sort of stops mid and looks from the wyvern to your allies, and you see him just start to gallop back towards the fight.
What are you doing?
I'm like at 60 miles an hour. I can't hear you.
Yeah. Dramatic.
Yeah, it's too dramatic. Yeah, I'm not...
He's moving too dramatically. It's all the drama is pushing out anywhere. Kieran, you're up.
The wyvern looks like it's gonna still be heading right towards us. Like these attacks haven't warded it off in any way.
You noticed on your reaction that it definitely was a bit warded off by your attack.
Mm-hmm.
It was looking a little. It did stop for a moment
Right.
as it took it, but it reasserted its movement. Take that however you will.
All right. Gonna move. Well, I guess it's 90 feet away, so I'll fire another guiding bolt. This time at second level.
All right, roll a hit with advantage.
Oh yeah,
because of the guiding bolt prior.
23.
That'll definitely.
And it's only 5d6. Ooh. It does more damage.
Okay.
12, 15, 18 points of radiant.
Wow, nice.
And then moving closer to the trees.
Okay, another 30 feet closer to the trees. Again, you see this light blasting from Kieran's reliquary that is floating in his hand, and the creature it takes the beam, and again, this time it definitely stops again in its dive. This time it does pause for a longer moment as it seems to be deciding what to do.
Horses have 60 feet movement.
Nice. So yes, you've made it. Yes, that's right. Another 60 feet up. As the creature has paused at this point and is unsure if it's continuing its pursuit. You watch then as right after you, Valen, still galloping ahead, drops the reins again, draws another arrow and fires it off towards the beast.
He has advantage.
Good thing he has advantage because he rolled a 2.
I like saw a twitch in your face and I was like, is that a bad roll?
The arrow does find purchase.
Let's all make a purchase.
Oh, nice. And deals maximum damage. As it deals 13 points of piercing damage on the creature.
Good, Valen. Good.
Now kill him.
I was gonna go with the.
Do it.
That rolls are strong.
and if you can imagine it, the wyvern is moving through this whole time. So it's the wyvern gets it's gonna make movement on its turn, and it gets closer, and Valen just fires another arrow. It hits right into the chest of the wyvern, and it stops again at this point. And it is looking very much precarious and like it might not want to deal with this prey.
We're not easy prey.
Which comes to Wiswick and Timber.
Okay, I'm going to.
Timber, then we skipped you last round.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Well, I go first anyway.
I'll let Timber have double action.
I'm gonna
Just
run
double
up
action.
Fine, you can.
You
do
give
2
me the whole
turns.
turn.
Double action, double movement. Wiswick, what are you doing?
I definitely want to beat Scarlet to the fort, because I can't talk shit and then not beat her there.
You can definitely beat Scarlet with your speed.
So I dash there.
Mhm.
I drop off the ASMR there. And then I turn my horse around and do the rest of my movement in the opposite direction and say, as she goes by, I go,
Lap 2, let's go.
Yeah, so Scarlet, when you get up to the edge of the forest, that 10 feet away from it, you see Wiswick just depositing the Aesmer as he and just zooms past you, barely hear him. So,
Why is everyone going back?
as Wiswick, you can easily get back with the group at this distance with how much they've moved towards the forest. You actually catch up to Cal and then move a little bit further than Cal as you're both on the top of the next initiative. Will meet up with your allies.
well, do I still have an action?
Yes. Well, did you want to dash?
I would say, would I have to dash to get within 120 feet?
Within 120 feet, you would not need to dash.
Okay, well
You
then
have
I'll do that.
Yeah, no, you'd be able to get within 120 feet.
Yeah, and we'll drop a magic missile on him.
Ooh, nice. Go for it.
Oh, where are the pesky D4s? Nobody can ever find those things.
Mine are right
There's
here. Do
one.
you want them?
Yeah, here, hand them over.
Sloop.
Got it. I got
I'm gonna watch that, see if that worked.
another 4, and a 1. So
How much is that total?
9 plus 3 is 11. 11, and we'll say it's fired.
Oof, okay, this wyvern is looking rough. As it is Timber's turn.
I'm just gonna do what I did last turn, which got skipped, which is move and dash, which is a total of 120, so that's a total of 240.
You get to the edge of the forest with Scarlet.
So it's my turn.
As you see, Scarlet, you see Timber galloping as a wolf towards you and arriving just next to you. As you look back and see this wyvern is kind of... All of these attacks have been hitting the wyvern as it's been closing the gap. And you see all of you kind of who are back there. You've reunited now, and the wyvern is bearing down on you. But you notice as it comes down, it takes all these hits, and you hear the... And then you suddenly see it dip lower for a second, and then... and flies overhead of you and dashes forward away because it is taking a shit ton of damage. And it does not want to eat something that can fuck it up that bad. And it just kind of, you can almost, it's a moment where almost like, for a second, you almost think it's going to come in for the attack and kind of like maul one of your horses. But it just, after taking the magic missile that just into the chest and kind of flames lick around it. And you can see these chromatic flames kind of licking around its mouth as if it was about to attack you with a breath weapon. But then it just flies above and dashes across the causeway into the next field. Would you like to end initiative here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So as... Oh god, that... I thought I turned on the like crossfade and it didn't work. You all kind of are breathing heavily as your horses are agitated and a bit frightened after the creature flew overhead. You can see it just making its way towards the mountains, spooked thoroughly and wounded, ready to not deal with you. You just sort of, in that moment, you almost like the adrenaline had caused all of your feelings to dissipate as suddenly you feel the cold rain again. You hear the rumble of the storms to the north. As you all rejoin at the crossroads before the forest line. What would you like to do?
Well,
Is everyone all right?
Yes, fine, thank you. Hopefully we scared that wyvern off good, and it won't be hunting on these roads anytime soon.
Nice job, lads.
Yeah, well done.
What time is it, Sean?
At this point, it's about with how much you've traveled. This is the second day. It's about I'd say it's about 3:30. You still have some traveling time left.
You know, guys, I should get a job as a horse rider. I'm pretty good at this.
As you see Jasper is like, and then suddenly is like, as Wiswick cannot get Jasper to move faster than a crawl, as he's just.
Alright. Dismount. The horses, if we keep riding them right now, they'll be blown in another half hour. So give them some rest, and we'll lead them.
So you're gonna travel further, but walking them.
Yeah, horse care is important.
Yes.
Horses
So-
are ridiculously fragile animals for all the stuff that humans use them for.
It's true, and that's why they're slower than you think at D&D.
Mm-hmm.
So you start to travel. In my mind, I need to advance you a little bit further. You've gone a little bit further in distance than I said earlier. It's not going to be 4 days travel. It'll be more like 3 days travel in this setting. Do you take the left or right road? The left goes a bit south. The right goes a bit north. Or actually, no, the left is going... They both bend north, from what you can understand.
Valen, any word on either of these?
Valen kind of takes a moment to look out and kind of... He moves off the road a little bit to look ahead as best he can. The best his elf eyes can see. And he looks back to you and says, either one seems...
Sorry.
They run as if the whips of their masters are behind them. He looks and he just says, either road will take us to the crossroads above, but it seems as though the brush is thicker on the south or on the western side of the wood. Perhaps the north would be better.
Sean, can I cast guidance on myself and then roll an insight check, kind of like to be like asking Iluvania for insight or guidance into the situation?
Sure. Go ahead. You can certainly try.
I'm just gonna take the more easterly path. Northerly? It's
It's
Right.
east. It's northeast path.
Well, even with a 4 from guidance, I got... Actually, wait. I guess I should check my...
Wiswick follows down the right path.
Oh, so 14 overall.
You mutter a silent prayer as sort of the calm comes over you and the rain is falling around you. You just hear a brief in the distance. You just mutter a brief prayer, but you don't feel any particular guidance other than the magical guidance you placed upon yourself. Iluvania does not answer. You all start to take the northerly path around the woods. You occasionally will look in through the dense, thick pine, and it's sort of eerie as you look in, as it's sort of the way the trees are lined as you're moving. They feel almost like they're shifting in a confusing and perplexing way, like you're staring at something too long and your eyes go cross. What is everyone's passive wisdom?
not high.
You mean passive
I have
wisdom? You mean just straight wisdom modifier plus 10?
It's is that what
Or
it
do you
is?
mean insight?
It's on your
Do you mean-
D&D on in your senses.
Do you mean insight or do you mean perception? Then
No, I mean passive wisdom perception or insight. The insight one.
Oh, okay.
12.
Yeah, it's 13.
17.
Nice.
10.
10.
Okay. For those of you who got below a 12, there's for a moment as you're passing, you become not bewitched by this forest as you're looking into it, but you find yourself staring into it more than you would like out of compulsion. And since you both have 10, you both, about halfway around the wood, feel this like almost psychic screech into your mind, sort of a wail that is so ear-piercing that you close your eyes and grasp your head for a moment as you take 1 point of psychic damage.
Rude.
As you kind of look, you squeeze your eyes tight, and when you look up, you think you see the form of a woman between the trees with a long gown on and horns similar to Valen's, but much larger and curving back and up at the back, and they sprawl out into a autumn foliage. Actually, her skin is a deep forest green with these amber eyes. She just looks to each of you who can see her, which is only you two, and just sort of gives you a beckoning into the woods. And then, as quickly as she appeared, she vanishes. You do not feel a compulsion to enter the woods.
I draw the fuck out of my sword.
You all see Cal kind of take this moment where his horse stops and kind of reels, and he draws his blade as he looks into the woods.
How is it?
Everything all right?
There's a woman in the woods. I assume she's a woman. I don't know about what else.
Why don't you come walk on the other side of the road here? Come away from the woods.
Yeah, Cal, stop talking nonsense.
I look confusedly at Wiswick, and I see the same fear in his eyes that would take the heart of me. And then I don't say anything about it. I just ride to the other side of the road. But I keep my sword out. It's not like up. It's just like drawn.
And as you're riding, Valen kind of looks to each of you and looks to the woods himself at that kind of compulsive reaction. Yes, there are stories. The witch that holds Vergenen's willed. We should move quicker.
Kieran clicks and
Yeah, I remount my horse, I guess.
As you move forward, you kind of keep somewhat of a distance from the wood. Cal and Wiswick staying on the opposite end. Every now and then you just hear strange noises in there. Sound like otherworldly animals. When you're kind of cresting around the peak of the curve, Valen kind of points up and you all see slightly above the tree line what looks like these ruined elvish tower that has this architectural design that looks like it's made of the trees themselves. And it looks like this tall tree-formed tower that has a hole in the top, and you could just sort of see this ancient architecture in there. But you move past it, and as the night comes to you, you approach a small crossroad where the northern byway meets the jubilant course that leads towards Caer Dolan. As you approach it, you can see there are clusters of tents and wagons all around this crossroad. And you see there's only one structure, permanent structure, which is a very tall tavern that's about 4 stories high. And just sort of this leaning, so it somewhat looks, as you're approaching it, it almost feels like it's swaying, this tower. It may just be the swaying of your horses, or it's the tower itself. As you come into the torchlight of this vestige of civilization in this area. You see tents with travelers in them looking up at you over their cook pots. You see carts with different people just offering up trade. But most of them are getting ready for sleep as it's approaching 8 o'clock at this point. And you approach the center of this where you can see the road curves northwest towards Drift March. You would have noticed when you came closer where the opposite side of the forest road came, and you definitely took the shorter path. And you can see the northern road heads off into the darkness, or the northeastern road heads into the darkness towards the river to cross over into the territories of Oxland. There's signs at the center of the crossroad that points each way. One says Drift March, the other says Caradolin. You approach and you see this large building in the center towering above you. You can see there's several balconies where you can see some people standing out. You see an older woman smoking a pipe looking down at you from the second floor. You see two young individuals above on the left side who are just looking up at the stars together. It's very loud in this area. It's very raucous. You can hear some off to the right. You see a cluster of tents where there are some kind of coal dirt covered miners that they look like who are drinking together and laughing. You can hear the plucking of barge strings in the distance as you see above you a sign that just says above it Hearthpot Public House. As you see a black cauldron with fire coming out of it painted beneath the sign.
I'm sorry, that was Hearthpot of Lick House?
Public
Hearthpot
house.
Public
Public
House.
house.
Oh.
Oh,
like
thank
it.
goodness. My butt was starting to chafe.
Do you want to
Suppose
go
we're
in?
going in? Or do you want to camp outside?
That seems like a pretty easy answer. Let's go in.
It might be safer. Camp outside. Less eyes would see us.
What are
We
we
can get
afraid
to
of?
move on early. Or outside.
You see a man stumble out of the hearth pot drunk. He bites into a carrot stick and kind of falls forward, stumbling into Cow's horse, and just looks up and pulls off his fisherman's hat. Just says, "Welcome to the Withwara Corner, greatest crossroads," and as he stumbles towards the campsites.
See, even this slob is polite.
All right, I dismount, and is there a hitching post?
There are. You actually see to the left there are dozens of hitching posts. There's a large kind of stabled area, and there's no one there. It's just sort of seems to be free of charge.
All right, I'd like to hitch my horse
Okay.
to one of those posts.
Yeah.
And,
As soon as you hitch the horse, you notice in the back of this stable area, there are a lot of horses here. You see one large kind of bison-looking creature that's with these long tusks that come out. That is hitched there as well. As you see this young human man kind of rushes forward out of a chair. He seems to have been kind of dozing off. He's, "Oh, I'm so very sorry, sir. I could take care of that for you. It's free. It's on the house. There's free hitching for all at Withwalla Corner."
With sorry, you say Walla Corner? What'd you say?
Withwara
Witwara Corner.
Corner.
The sign
Yeah.
says the hearth pot. I don't understand.
Oh, the hearth pot is that's old Trevor's place. Yeah, that's where most people sleep unless they want to gaze under the stars. But this is the greatest tent city in all the land.
Oh, okay. And it's free of charge.
Well, yeah, you could. Well, the hitching's free, and you got two options for sleeping. You can go over there and rent one of the wagons from Amara. She rents wagons out for the folks to sleep in if they don't have tents, don't want to sleep on the ground. Or you can head on inside, and Trevor and Krevler can set you up with a room. A bit more expensive than a car, as you can presume, but they take care of you. Last week, a day ago, we had a whole band of refugees come through with the fancy man from Oxland. And,
Only a day ago, you said.
Yeah, they didn't want to stay though. They kept moving.
Understood. Well, yeah, if you could take care of our horses here.
Oh, certainly. Krevlik and Trevor, they both believe in giving the goods out for the folk, small folk traveling on the road. We don't like charging for the bare necessities.
Well, thank you very much. But either way, and I tip him 3 silver.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll take right good care of your horses.
Actually, no, how many horses do we have? We have 4 horses?
You have, 5 with Valen's horse.
I tip him 5 silver.
Very generous, sir.
And I don't know, turn around to
Yeah.
my friends.
So, if you're going to head inside, you step inside and it's a very raucous room. There's a lot of drunk, what appears to be workers in here. They all are wearing ragtag clothes. It seems as though this might be a stopping point between their work and their village, where it takes them 2 days' journey to get to the mine or the lumber camp they work at. And they stay here. There's probably a deal with the lumber company or the mining company to allow them to stay here for cheaper prices. And they're all joyously drinking. You look up and you can see that the tower is open all the way to the top in a perplexing way that seems like it shouldn't be standing. And you can see these. It's almost like it looks nicer than this, but it's kind of like how you imagine the inside of a prison, where there's the different layers of floors with the railing, and you can see people kind of leaning off of it.
So this is sort of a non-open air atrium?
Yes. And as you go in, you kind of see all the people. You look directly across the room towards the bar, and you see a man who has completely bald head. He's very skinny. He has a jerkin, a leather jerkin with a tunic underneath. He has a goatee that then comes down into a braided knot down below that is black in color. And he's leaning against the bar, washing a glass, as you see next to him, writing in a journal, probably a ledger, not directly at the bar, but just like kind of a table away that's in the corner, kind of the owner's table that's kind of cordoned off. You see an Aarakocra, a avian humanoid, with bright bluish-hued white feathers, an owl's face, an owl-like face. Then you just see the feathers kind of flurling out as they're writing. They're wearing a very beautiful robe that comes down to their shoulders, their elbow, with long tresses, and you can kind of see feathers coming off of the arms. You can kind of see this taloned hand writing, and they're sitting there looking up every now and then at Trevor, or the man, who is now known as Trevor, and this is probably Krevlik. The room is raucous, and you have found some respite for the evening halfway through your journey, where you'll most likely get rooms. But since it's 10:30, that's where we'll end tonight. And we'll pick up with you getting your rooms and maybe exploring this little corner before making your way towards Driftmarch on the morrow. And that's where we'll end. Thank you for those who stuck around with us. This was a very RP-heavy session, and had some shopping and some travel. Please join us next week as we continue our journey to Driftmarch and see where this journey takes us. We love you all, and thanks for sticking around with us in Paradise. Have a good
Bye,
night.
everybody.
Bye. Tim hates you.
Illy Vanya bless you all.